Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is Cee, Certified Brewhead.
And I am Nathan from NathanDoesBeer.
And welcome to episode 169 of Beer Not Shit, the podcast Adjunct series. Nate, this episode right here, first and foremost, horrendously long time between pods, like embarrassingly long.
Yeah.
Probably the worst so far. And second, this is something we've been looking forward to for a long time. We've been talking about doing the follow-up for, God, like a year or two maybe, I would say.
It's been a long time in the works.
So we have a ton to talk about, and if anyone out there watched our top 10 breweries in Ontario for 2023, which I definitely recommend you check out if you haven't already, this is the brewery of the year. This was our favorite brewery in Ontario in 2023, and these guys are probably one of the most consistent breweries, period. My personal favorite place to go in Toronto. Every single time someone comes to town, I take them there. If I had a choice of I'm going to go for a beer in Toronto, that's where I'm going. I'm extremely excited to get into these beers. Let's just do it there, Nathaniel, shall we?
Yes,
Guys,
let's do it.
Please welcome Luc Bim Lafontaine. Whoops, wrong one. Oh, shit. Oh, I ruined it. I ruined it, guys. It's okay. I got this. I ruined the big thing. Oh, now I ruined the whole thing. Let's just do it anyway. I've got Speed Brewery in the building. There we go. I don't know what I did.
Hey.
Welcome, brother. I'll fix it while we're talking.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you for inviting me.
It has been a hot minute. It's definitely been 6 years, I believe. I think that's what we were saying earlier. Six insane years, which is crazy.
I think that must be the longest that you've gone between having a guest on for a follow-up.
Easily that I can think of. It's pretty crazy. I don't even know what happened. I guess it was just COVID. Things got crazy. And this kind of explains what I'm about to say. So Luke is coming live and direct from Tokyo, Japan right now. So it's bright and early, 9 a.m. over there. So first and foremost, thank you so much. Yeah, got the coffee. Thank you so much for taking the time, bro, to hang out when you're you're out there soaking it up. Appreciate it.
It's all good. Beer for breakfast. Never say no to beer for breakfast.
Never at all. So, looks like my camera's messing up. So what we'll do, let's crack into the first one. I'm going to fix this camera in the meantime. Tell us about this first beer we're going to do, guys.
All right. Well, it's called Ibushi.
Yes.
And Ibushi means see, I got the Japanese stamp here because the shipment just arrived in Japan. This shipment is really focused on the smoke beers, which I'm really excited about. I'm sure you probably know by now.
Oh yeah.
So Ibushi just means smoking, like it can be like smoking meat, smoking malt, whatever. So all my smoke beers have the symbol fire, like the Japanese symbol fire in it. So Ibushi, Irori, Ikinuki, all of them. I don't know if you noticed that, but yeah, this is
I did not.
Yeah, this is a personal favorite of mine, and unfortunately, it's probably one of our slowest selling beer ever. It's very sad, and I would brew this beer like as a permanent beer, but I guess people are not that much into smoke stuff yet in our province, so it's something that I've been trying to work on and challenge myself and just keep
trying to educate the province.
And I always say I'm gonna try and win my battle a day at a time. So it's basically a Helles with a hint of smoke in it.
Okay.
And we kind of after a lot of discussion with my team, we decide to not all of our smoke beers, but a bunch of them to kind of do like we call them like the Godspeed style. So Godspeed style Helles, or later we're gonna have the Godspeed style Porter. So that just means that there's expect a hint of smoke in there.
Right.
So yeah,
Interesting.
what it is. Yeah.
Let's first and foremost, cheers, my brother.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Yes, cheers, yo.
Cheers.
So the smoke is very faintly on the nose. I've had this like a bunch of times, and I had it not that long ago, and I feel like now I didn't even realize it was smoked. And I'm like, it's so subtle. It's almost like calling it a smoked beer is maybe doing it a disservice in the sense of if it turns people off, it shouldn't at all. As far as
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I first came in Ontario, well, I didn't know much about the beer scene, a tiny bit, but I've noticed that LCBO had the Schlenkerla, the Marzen, available and pretty consistently, and it's pretty heavily smoked beer, right? So
It's aggressive.
yeah, so a person will like it or will hate it, and I when I was doing the startup of Godspeed, I was working at Bar Hop as a bartender. I don't know if you remember that, but
No.
while I was building Godspeed, yeah, and I want to get a feet, in the industry and see what people likes, and every time we were tapping a smoked beer at Bar Hop, I mean, yeah, this beer was taking forever to to sell. So I say, perfect, I'm going to brew even more of them. But I figured out that, okay, I think Ontarians in general are pretty scared of smoked beer. Probably blame it on Schlenkerla, which I love, but I say, I'm gonna take the subtle way, and I for many years I've really been inspired by actually one of the Helles beer from Schlenkerla, which is pretty amazing. And what I found out that they don't even put smoked malts in the beer.
Oh.
It's just coming from the yeast that they crop from the smoked beers that gives the smokiness in the beer. And I say, you know what, this is brilliant. So I start brewing these kind of beer back in the days at UCL, and I say, I really like the subtleness, and I just continue the series at Godspeed, and this is it.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So this was inspired by that specific smoked Helles. So this is a Helles Lagerbier. Could you explain the sort of like etymology of that? Like Helles, obviously we know is like the the German style lager, but then there's the lager beer. Like how does that tie together?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean the term lager beer, you mean, or just Helles?
Kind of the term lager beer, which I have heard before, but I'd like to hear it again.
Yeah,
But why it's tied to Helles?
I mean, I could just say Helles. We say it just sounds nice, I guess.
Okay, cool. And that's a great answer.
Lager beer, yeah. It just says, it's a lot of people don't know that Helles is a lager, right? So even today, so. Yeah, we could have just say Helles Lager
right.
Lager beer. Kind of sounds nice.
Sounds cooler. I agree. Let's talk so the tasting notes of this, dude. So like it's like it's almost like it's like a touch like caramel-y color, like it's slightly darker than maybe like a typical Helles, arguably.
Yeah, a tiny bit. It's
tiny bit.
Yeah, I didn't brew it, so. That's strange.
Of course.
That's strange to say. I didn't brew it because I brewed all the beers for the first 6.5 years at Godspeed, and it's basically pale malt and a tiny bit of smoke malt. It's very simple. And we went through process of kind of like a decoction. So maybe a tiny bit of color from that, but it's surprised that it's a little darker than steams.
Yeah, it's got it's got kind of that copper tone to it a little bit.
Copper's a better word than caramel. Yeah, I definitely agree. But a beautiful big fluffy head.
Yeah,
and it's not and it's not oxidized. So, I would say if it's oxidized, then maybe, get a bit of color, but not at all.
No, definitely not.
So maybe, sometime maybe just, I mean, the specs of the malting company are, it depends. Some of the specialty malt, they will say like the range is from this amount of SRM to this amount of SRM, and sometimes it can vary a little bit, but yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's just German. When I make German style beers, I just use all German ingredients. So it's basically German malt from Bamberg, from Weirmann malt house, and we use German hops, which is you don't feel that much hop in there, just enough to balance the beer. And so yeah, so it's simple, it's the drinking beer of in Franconia and Germany, and it's pretty typical.
It's delicious. Okay, that's amazing. It's got a beautiful bready note in there. There's like some light kind of grassy bitterness in the background there. It's got a beautiful sweetness as well. The smoke is so subtle. Like I said, I had this not long ago. I was like, oh, it's delicious. I'm not a huge fan of smoked beers, and I feel like the ones that I enjoy like a lot are all your ones, because I think of that subtlety. So it's almost like you're like a gateway to smoked beer, really, is what you're sort of
I would say
doing.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I want to try to achieve, right? And I want to, and there's a few people. I got into some arguments with some people saying like it's kind of unfair to not say that it's smoked on the can, the Godspeed style. And I say, okay, fair enough, but at the same time, we widely say it. They're the Godspeed style beers that are smoked beers. We say it in our social media. We say it in the description. It's just like we don't want people to be scared of trying it, and we want to change people's mind, and with smoke beers, and so that's we went through an argument with our good friend Garrett Oliver from Brooklyn Brewery, and he says, "Look, you cannot do this," and he's just like texting me and say, "Come on, Garrett, chill out."
That's hilarious. I mean, like, I feel like I don't think it's misleading because it's so subtle. Like once again, had this beer multiple times, didn't even realize that it was smoked. That's how subtle, and like I feel like it was just added to the vibe of the beer. And then there's a bit of education that people need to know that Godspeed style means it's got a little smoked malt in it.
Well, a little story too. It's kind of funny because I want to have like smoked malt as a signature for all my beers. So when I started Godspeed in 2017, I think the first 15 recipes that I put smoked malt in all of them, even the Dortmunder. And after that, I was okay, I'm going to calm down a little bit, but it was just a tiny bit of it. And I really want to make it a signature of Godspeed beers, and then I stopped, and then when it was time to label this one, say, what, we'll just do Godspeed style, because that was the approach that I had at the beginning. And so
that's interesting. I don't think I noticed, because I had those beginning beers. I came on opening day and grabbed them, and I don't think I noticed. Did you get any feedback from people for that at all?
Not at all. No. The only feedback I got at the beginning was a lot of, I don't know, we probably talked about this. There's quite a few disappointment from people because, I started with a Dortmunder and a dry stout and a old school IPA, and people were expecting the craziness. So, so people didn't even notice the smoke, I guess.
Right, because they were worried about the hazy IPA that wasn't there. We've talked about that before. I remember you and I have definitely talked about that. I can't remember if it was on the first pod or just in person, but like, I feel like now in hindsight, it was like you were thinking like 5+ years into the future. Like you were doing stuff whilst it's not obviously world changing to do those type of beers, but in a time when you opened, the hype stuff in Toronto specifically was out of control. And then now you like are the, like you are like almost like synonymous with those styles in Canada and beyond. It's very cool. It's like you were thinking so far ahead that you were starting with these beers. Your Dortmunder is exceptional, and now that you're just owning that, it's even cooler to look back and be like, yeah, maybe the hype heads were disappointed, but little do they know they're all drinking it now because they're the best of the best. It's amazing.
For me, I don't. I don't know. It's just the point where I am in my career. We can talk about the Czech stuff later, but when I opened Godspeed, and previously, like people, it's crazy, and there's that weird kind of hype that installed itself. Like when people start to know that this guy from Dude is opening a brewery in Toronto, it's gonna be crazy, and yeah, people didn't know nothing about me. Like I was brewing like Helles. I was brewing like a low ABV beer, like so many of them at DDC back in the days, and that's just like where where I was in my career, where I am in my career. I just follow my heart, and I just brew. You hear this all the time from everybody. I just brew what I want to, what I want to drink. But it's always been the case. So 2017, I was where I was, and that's it. And that's what I took the risk of doing those beers, because that's where that's where I was. And I told my partners very clearly. I mean, it's either, we give it a shot, and if we fail doing it, then we fail doing it, and we just like we move on with something else. It's kind of a big risk with a lot of money involved, but it's it's like that, just like that.
I like that, man. Yeah. Well, this risk paid off most certainly. Yeah. Particularly where it's at now, which is
I'm really happy with the at one point you're kind of like is it good if everybody makes a lager? And because at the beginning you think that, okay, I got a chunk of the market that nobody else, well, the very few have, and now it's kind of okay, it's going to dilute itself, and you know what, I thought like this for a little while, and I think that I'm totally wrong, because I know the more lagers there are, I mean, the more I'm selling mine, so it's great. It's just great. Yeah.
I think it's sorry, Craig, go ahead.
No, please. Yours is go.
Oh, it's interesting too that like that you talk about like kind of what you had in mind to brew when you got started after coming from GDCL and whatnot. And at the time that you came in, I mean, like I would say that the Quebec and Ontario markets are a little more aligned now than they were back in the mid 2010s, but back then, like in the mid 2010s, like the Quebec and Ontario markets were very different, like in kind of where they were aligned in the hype phase and kind of what the general market was looking for. So like I can see how that could have also played into how staggering that might have been at the outset.
It's I really like where Ontario is right now, because I remember back in the days, like people saw Quebec, you're so much ahead of us, and now Ontario picked up. Like, I mean, we have such a amazing breweries in Ontario now. It's really nice. It's really nice to see, and really fun to be part of. Sorry, but I don't miss Quebec beer that much, Well, now I miss Ontario beer, and I actually, I don't want to feel pretentious, but I also miss my beers a lot. I can find them, like on a regular basis, but being at Godspeed every day, drinking from the tanks, it's kind of like yeah.
You are selling the beers in Japan currently, I imagine, since you imported them. Yep, which is awesome.
Okay. Yeah. We do consistent, like every 3 months shipping, and it's kind of fun because my importer, and it's just like it's about 20-minute walk from here. their shop, so I can have access to Godspeed every day if I want. But yeah, it's really nice because they focus on, they have a very small portfolio, and they decided to focus on Ontario. So so we're a bunch of us. So there's Godspeed, there's Burdock, Bellwoods, Sonnenhill,
Nice.
Revel Cider, and Collective Arts. So
Damn, that's more than I would have expected.
Yeah.
Yep. So we all consolidate everything at Collective Arts in the cold reefer, and we pack like a container every 3 months. Lands in Japan, takes about a month, and then the beer is ready, and then yeah, it's fun. It's great.
Is that your doing? Did you organize that, being that you had the connections?
You know what? No, because I had a previous importer, uh, a good friend of mine. It's kind of, yeah, and then COVID hit, and I took a break. I took like a 2.5 year break, 3 year break from sending to Japan, and then I heard that this guy Murakoshi is like, okay, he's just like focusing. I think at the beginning he was focusing more on Collective Arts, and then he decided, he's a very smart guy. He said, well, why not just gathering a bunch of breweries around there, and just makes more sense for shipping and stuff, like shipping cost and everything, right? So, and I found out about him. I said, okay, great. And one of my previous assistant in the brewery, Shin, Japanese guy, they used to work together back in the days. So he told me, yeah, let's do it. So yeah, it's
dope.
fun, and it's doing so well. Like Godspeed, it's picking up a lot in Japan. It's fun because I do a bunch of events here, and I'm here, and yeah, just promoting the brand, and everybody's still excited because a lot of people are still following me because I did open a brewery in Japan too, right? So there I have kind of like a fan base that just followed my journey even back in the days from Jude Ciel, and then Ushtora, and then Godspeed. So I have a bit of an advantage, I guess, here compared to others.
That's
Yeah.
very cool. I don't know if you want to touch on that for a bit now. Just obviously, so you're based in Japan. Is it like half the time essentially? Is that you splitting time between the two cities?
Yeah, I would say probably 70% here now.
Mm.
So I go back to Toronto every 3-4 months, and I'm gonna be spending the summer there. So from end of June, yeah, it's kind of nice. We were invited to Pilsen Love. I don't know if you know Pilsen Love.
Sounds familiar.
Firestone Walker and Oxbow. They do an event. They used to do an event every year, gathering all the with Birfio Italiano. It's Birfio Italiano from Italy that started it, and they gather all the best Pilsner brewers in the world, and I'm grateful that we are invited. So that's at the end of June. So I'm going to fly in end of June till the end of August, and then just spend the 2 months in Toronto.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's what I do, and a lot of meetings like what we do right now with the staff every week, 2-3 hours live meetings and chatting with them every day. So it almost feel like I'm there, but I'm not. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you're able to still run the bit. Like, are you involved in the day-to-day of the business?
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Like I work at least 3-4 hours a day, if not more. We have like a system of live spreadsheets and stuff, and it's kind of nice because when I wake up, basically the days just finish in Toronto. So the first thing I do is I check everything, every fermenter, everything that happened during the day. And if there's a problem, usually that's where we kind of fix it. Sometimes I get a text in the middle of the night, an emergency text. Yeah, but I mean, honestly, so far so good. It was, a lot of people are really shocked about the move. They cannot believe that BIM is doing this. Like BIM is hand on everything, like since day one, brewing 100% of the beers. But you know, my reality is very different now. You know, I have a family. When I started, and Nathan, you know, right? You have kids,
Yep.
and you know, it's my reality is different now, and I don't want to screw it up, and I know myself. You know, when I'm in Toronto, I cannot disconnect. You know, I'm so into my things, and I go back home. I always think about it, and I say, you know what, I don't want 10, 15, 20 years from now, you know, realizing that I screw it all up. So, you know, and I'm turning 50 this year, and so my goal is to manage my stress better because it was becoming to a point where, you know, I put a lot of stress on my shoulders all the time.
Mm.
And I say, I always had a hard time delegating, which is something that I'm really pissed off at myself. And I say, okay, you know, this is the time. I have the best team ever, not to take away anything that my previous staff had, but I got like a very amazing team. And I say, okay, this is their time to shine too, you know, like credit always falls on me too, right? Godspeed, it's bim, bim, bim. And I say, you know what? I mean, I have a great team, and it's you know, it's just the time. And I don't want to die of an heart attack in a couple of years. You know, I want to grow old with my kids. So, you know, yeah. So I did the move for myself. I did the move for my family. My wife, you know, she's Japanese. We live. She's at her parents' house now, and you know, they live 3 stations from here. Like it's a 15-minute bike ride, so it's kind of nice, you know. So everybody's, I'm really happy, yeah, and
That's awesome,
everybody's
man.
happy. So
That's great.
yeah,
So it's been like a chill
yeah,
move. You're able to still manage the business in Canada from there, whilst
yeah,
growing the business in Japan, being that you have the
yeah,
advantage, like you mentioned earlier, of the previous brewery. That is sick. Do you
yeah,
speak Japanese? I imagine so.
yeah. I do speak Japanese.
Okay.
You know, I speak okay Japanese. It depends on the situation, right? If I
Okay.
have to go to the bank or you know, just filed my taxes now, and you know, all that vocabulary, I'm just lost, you know. So with all
That's a
these
language unto
specific terms.
itself.
Yeah, but you know, just
Oh
the
yeah.
casual chatting, I'm fine with it. But the nice thing now is I'm gonna study more with my kids, you know. So my son is at daycare now, and he's you know, I'm so like not jealous, but I'm so impressed. You know, we just arrived here in August and September, and now it's everybody think that he was born and raised in Japan. So
Amazing.
I'm learning a lot of Japanese from my 5-year-old son. So which is yeah,
That makes
it's
sense
amazing.
because you do the kids'
Yeah,
books when you're an adult learning the language. Because when I learned French in Montreal, they give you the kids' books
yeah,
essentially. So you're doing the
yeah,
kids' Japanese book, so it's the same thing. It makes sense, and just
yeah.
he happens to be the same age. That's awesome.
The thing that I'm really excited about is to learn the kanji, so the Japanese symbol, like the characters,
Right.
because you know, I know about 300, but I you know, there's 5,000. I mean, there's you need to know like
Whoa.
about 3,000 if you want to read the newspapers. But I know about 350 of them, and I know them just like sparkingly. I know a lot of the year one, but I know some from year six, and it's all like you know, it's all messy. So now I'm gonna learn them properly with my kids, you know, from so I'm probably, you know, at 55, I'm probably in 5 years from now, I'm probably gonna be able to write and read very well.
That's awesome. That's fun, man. It's cool. It challenges your brain a bit to like kind of keep it flowing and like expand and learn something new. And
Well, you know what? I mean, and this is one exciting thing too about me being here. You know, when I was at Godspeed, I had a full-time job brewing just by itself, brewing, right? And
right.
then I have a full-time job managing my business because, you know, I have to do that. And you know, sometimes I was caught in places that you know, I didn't like, and I like to keep my brain, you know, thinking all the time because I I kind of think that I'm a creative person, and I have a lot of ideas. But you know, when you're you're doing too many things at the same time, you're kind of you know, you kind of stall. And now I'm not brewing, I have all this time to think, and there's a lot of exciting stuff coming. You think there was some exciting stuff at Godspeed happening in the last years. I mean, there's a lot coming because I have time to develop those ideas and concepts. So it's a very, very exciting time for me. It's a very exciting time for Godspeed. And I think I think we're probably gonna have our best year ever in 2024. It's starting very well. So, I'll knock on wood. But yeah.
That's great, man. I never thought of it like that, actually. You're right, because it is a full-time job brewing, and it is a full-time job to run the business. And owner brewers probably get caught up in that little cycle a little too much, because then they're brewing all day or from 6 a.m. or whatever, and then all night you're doing the rest of the stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And
then you sleep on the weekends.
On the weekends, yeah.
Yeah. People say like, it's kind of cool. It's funny because in Japan here, it's the Japanese craft beer scene always been a little late compared to North America. I'd say 5, 6 years, 7 years later.
Right.
And now it's at a phase where everybody wants to open a brewery in Japan. It's like, oh God, here we go. Here we go. And and I don't want to. I don't want to put a stick in the wheel of people and try to mess up with their dreams and stuff. But, the passion of brewing and the reality of owning a business, a brewery, it's two very different things,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, it's great for me. I'm very fortunate. It's that, both, I can still do both and have a very high motivation level because we're doing great, and when you're doing great, it's very motivating, and you want to and you push you push your limit even harder. So yeah, but I'm enjoying running the business more now than ever because I have the time to do it.
Right. That's amazing. Where is if you could describe where the scene in Japan is at right now, what's the vibes, what style? Because I went through this with Australia too, because they were a lot behind. So every time I went back, it was interesting because the first time they were golden ales and pale ales, and the second time, then haze was starting to come in there, and it was kind of the real early haze that wasn't really great. Then the next time it was better, stuff like that. So where's what's popular? What's is craft beer in every restaurant? Is there beer bars? What's the kind of vibes there?
Well, just a little bit of a story on Japanese craft beer. So it's a second boom of craft beer in Japan. The first one was in the late 90s. And it was not called a craft beer. It was called G-beer at that time. G means ground, kind of like a local beer. So G-beer started in the late 1990s, and there's about 220 breweries that open. And you fast forward about 5 years, half of them shut down, closed. Nobody knew what they were doing. There's a bunch of German, consultants and brewers that made a lot of money in Japan back in the days. It was strictly pretty much all lagers and Pilsner and some alt beer. Alt beer was huge. Wow, the dream for me. If everybody could love alt beer people like alt beer in Japan. And then it went down, and then it kind of plateaued for many years, and that's when I came in 2013-14 when I opened Ushtora.
Gotcha.
And now recently, so it stalled at about 130 breweries for many years, and now there's 600, 700, I think.
Damn.
And there's a new brewery opening every week, every month. They're in the phase that it's really cool, and they're in the AZs, obviously hazies, fruited sours. Now they're all discovering that, and they're just going hard with that. Unfortunately, it's sad because for me, Japan is is the lager country. They make the big brands, Sapporo, Kirin, Asahi, Suntory, they make like such a high quality lagers and but yeah, it's that's where they are right now, I guess.
Okay.
Majority of them.
Are they any good? With the
And
Haze?
some of them are good. There's a few very good breweries, yeah. But yeah, I didn't, I didn't drink as many as I would, but yeah, I mean they're not bad, and like as much as everybody wants to open a brewery, a lot of people want to open a craft beer bar too. So but the market section of craft beer drinkers in Japan is very low, is about 1%, compared to
Oh, wow.
I don't know where we're at, but so yeah, so they and the beer tax, I know because it's funny because when breweries in Ontario we complain we have high production beer taxes. I mean, we still have the highest, I think, in North America, but compared to Japan, it's nothing. Japan is 4 times more. Like a size brewery like Godspeed in Japan would cost about $600,000 in beer tax per year. So how can you make money? It's pretty crazy. But at the same time, they sell the beer per liter a lot more expensive, like almost $10 per liter versus us. It's kind of like $5 something. So craft beer is very expensive. The big breweries are very high quality. So consumer, I understand the consumer's like, am I gonna go for this amazing lager at $2.50, or I'm gonna go to that one at $8 that I'm not sure if it's gonna taste good. So that's where Japan is. Yeah.
Interesting. Thanks, man. I'm
Are
always
you
curious.
are you brewing the same kind of styles at your brewery in Japan as you are at Godspeed, or is there any kind of different in the in kind of the signature lineup that you do there?
Yeah, back in the days. Well, I don't know if you know. I don't own the brewery anymore. I sold it back to my partners a while ago. But when I was brewing there, no, I mean most of the beer was between 3.5% to 5%. People that would, if people would have followed me a little bit more, in Canada before I opened Godspeed, would really understood what I was all about, because that's what I did at my brewery in Japan. And I built my own smoker, so I was smoking my own malts. I was doing a lot of smoked beers and too. So and low ABV, and I was doing a sour. I think I don't like to say this, but I think I'm the first person to brew a sour beer in the whole island of Japan. So yeah, I did some kind of like a replica of Solstice d'été from Dieu de Ciel, because my wife just loved that beer so much, and I brewed it for our wedding because we got married here in 2014. So it was the wedding beer, and I gave to my guest, and so I did the first kettle sour in Japan, like back, and people were just like, "Oh my God, what is this?" Everybody was like crazy, like going crazy. It was kind of funny. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. I love that, man.
Yeah.
It's checking the time. How do you feel about next beers?
Oh, yeah, right.
Do it.
What are we thinking? What makes the most sense?
God. It's,
Tough question.
Nathan, you choose. You choose that one.
Oh, Nate's up.
Oh, okay, Nate's up. All right, let me take a
pressure.
look.
So I think the only two you didn't have were Butt and Svetley, right?
No, but did you have Ikinuki or not? The Englishman, the Bamberg, like
the Keller beer. Yes, we do have that one. Is that the other one you don't have?
Yeah, I don't have it, unfortunately. But
okay, you don't have
it.
All right.
You're welcome to crack it anytime.
Okay. Why don't we do Bière de Soif? Do you have that one?
Oh yeah, I do.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that?
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go grab it.
Of course, take your time. Great choice there, Nathaniel.
Good.
So this is the Brasserie de la Senne collab from. I think I had this for the first time on New Year's Eve at Bar Hop in like 2016 or 17. I remember.
Right.
This is a slapper.
This is the first Godspeed collab actually at
Nice.
yeah, it's the first Godspeed collab. Yeah, and at Godspeed too. So when Yvan came, Yvan de Betz, the owner of De La Seine, we've been friends for ages. You know, we brewed together in Montreal back in the days. We done a couple of collabs there. And and every time I go to Belgium, we brew together at his brewery. And I also have the glass. Look at that.
Oh,
Nice.
that's perfect. Bringing the good stuff to Japan. I like that.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's interesting because Ivan also export to Japan, and he was here in October, and we did a combined event, Godspeed de la Seine, in Tokyo.
I saw that.
It was really fun.
That's awesome, man.
It was good.
This specific thing, so Bière de Soif, it's 4.7%. So what's the specific approach to this beer?
All right. So when I started the collaboration collaboration at Godspeed, I put kind of like two criterias at the beginning. I say one it's gonna have to be a lager, and second we need smoked malt in there. So and there was two things that Ivan can correct me, but I think before Bière de Soif, I think Ivan never brewed a lager yet. So I think it was his first time brewing a lager. And second of all, he disliked smoked beers, and I said, "Perfect, we're gonna make a lager with smoked beer in it, with smoked malt in it, And and he was not really into that. But I say, you know what? Wait until you get in Toronto, and I had a couple of smoked beers on tap, and I say you can taste the way that my approach to smoked beers. And I remember like it was not even called Kemuri yet, but I had the smoked porter on, and I think he had like 4 pints of it, and he really loved it, and he said, okay, let's go. I say, perfect, because the malt is sitting there just waiting to be crushed in the mill, and so it was kind of nice. So a bit of it's very complex beer. There's a lot of stuff in there, but it's kind of funny. I wanted to call it Bière de Soif Everyday Lager. The challenge was to make it like a very high drinkability beer, and you want to sip all day long. So it's lager with a hint of smoked malt and some oats, some wheat, and some rye in there. But this is really inspired by some of Ivan's beer, like Taras Bulba and stuff like that. He used some of those grains. So so that was kind of like the idea behind it, with some Styrian Goldings at the beginning. So Ivan loved that hop big time. He's a big fan of the Slovenian Golding hop. So we put some in there, but to challenge yourself even more, I did a little dry hop in it too. So it's the idea was to balance everything. You don't want everything to overpower the other. So it's a very, very fun beer, very challenging beer to make, and I haven't had it in a long time, so we're looking forward to this.
Hell yeah. This is even better than I remembered it, to be honest. The rye is awesome. I feel like it gives it that that typical kind of peppery little thing, which goes really well with it's like a lemony citrus thing going on too. So it complements that super well. And I imagine that's probably from the dry hop, a bunch of that. Well, the pepper from the rye.
And the dry hop, it's very subtle, but it's there. You can see, and but that's I'm not a fan of dry hopping at all. I don't like dry hopping. Sorry, I'm gonna. A lot of people probably hate me. You know what? I don't. Yeah, for some reason, I just don't like dry hopping. It's wasting hops and wasting beer. Your yields are way lower, and no wonder these AZ IPAs are so expensive, because hops is hops is not cheap, and you lose a lot of beer dry hopping a lot, right? So your yields are way are way lower. But doing it at this level, I enjoy it. Yeah. So, and I don't know if you see the logo, the label. I mean, it's obviously inspired by the Lassen. I don't know if you
It looks like
like
the logo.
those kind of like the sun rays and stuff, and we can just made it funny, and we just draw the Godspeed building there. Yeah. So
Very cool.
yeah. So that's it.
It's a great one.
It is quite complex, and like all of the layers that that you've been talking about there, from the addition of of rye in the malt bill, and the smoked malt, and the dry hop, and every element being so subtle to as you say, not overpower anything else. Like, you really can taste bits of all of those, and it's way more complex than you would typically expect like a lager to be. It's quite something.
Mm-hmm.
This is my first time tasting this, and this is an experience.
Okay. Oh, well. And my question to you is, would you have another one?
Oh, 100% I would. No question.
Great. Then I win.
It's complex enough. It's perfect, man. It's great in that. Exactly right, Nate. Like, you can taste all of the layers whilst also you could just not think about it, and then have multiple, and it's not too sweet. I imagine probably something like the rye would kind of tone that back a little bit with those sort of elements. And it's super. It's so balanced and so crushable. I imagine. Do you ever put this on the LUKR at the brewery?
I guess we do. I think we have like seven LUKRs now. So we try to put most of our lagers on it. It should be. I hope so. I'm gonna ask at the next meeting.
Okay. I'd love to know. I feel like this one would be extra fun. I think the LUKR is the greatest thing ever invented, and it's it's my favorite part about Godspeed, where you can have. I think when I saw you last, I think you were leaving the next day when I bumped into you in, I think it was July.
Yeah.
And we're doing like Maliko shots and shit. Like, it was fire, man. It's so good. Fuck, it's so good. I love it.
Yeah, the LUKR is a great take. We were just me and Max from Godspeed, myself, and communication guy. We just did a trip, 10 days trip to Czech Republic. We went to brew there, and we went to do the master tapster course at LUKR. So we spent we spent 3 days, kind of like, we were pretty good at it from the beginning, but we wanted to learn the proper way and get like the full-on philosophy of LUKR, and that was amazing. And we even work in Czech bars, like pouring beers for Czech people. That was pretty nerve-wracking, if you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, no, those LUKRs, and so you can expect probably even more from on the service standpoint at Godspeed. Now we're coming back with a lot of ideas and inspiration, and so it's a tab, but it's to do it properly, it takes time, takes a lot of practice, and it's fun. It's becoming very popular too, right? I mean, LUKR just went from they used to serve only Pilsner Urquell brewery, and now everybody wants them around the world. So it's pretty crazy.
It's such a phenomenal experience. I think that's part of the. Oh, I always liked going to Godspeed because you always had good food. Previously it was the Japanese style food, and now, or not style, but real Japanese food, and now it's the Wurst, like German stuff, which is money and it goes with everything perfectly. And it's, for me, what tops it off is that LUKR experience. Like, if I'm going to go out, and I think that this is interesting, being the times that we're in, as far as maybe people aren't, everything's really tight, inflation, interest rates, blah, blah, blah. If people are going to go out and spend the money, you kind of want to just have something a little more special and something that you can't get at home. And most people won't have a LUKR tap at home. And I think that for me is like so cool, because there's so many things you can do with that, whether it's like the Maliko pours, which is just a fun little thing, or do that. What's the pour where you do like a blonde beer at the bottom and then like the head from a dark beer?
The Rejane it's called. Rejane means to cut in the Czech language. So you cut it, either you cut your dark with a blonde, or probably it makes more sense, and then to cut the to cut the blonde with a dark. This pour is becoming really popular. We're having our Czech Sundays every Sunday, and it's becoming like almost like an Instagram kind of thing. It's kind of like click click, and so I tell my staff all the time, like make sure you get the consistency right all the time, right? And because people are watching us.
They really are, yeah.
Are you able to talk to talk through just like how you do that kind of pour when you cut like a pale beer with a dark beer?
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's funny because at the beginning, the dark was on the bottom and the light beer was on top. It's all about gravity, right? Final gravity in beer. If the dark is heavier, well, it's gonna be in the bottom, obviously. And when I go to Czech Republic all the time, it's kind of okay. It's the opposite, and the dark's on the top, and just for the look, I think it looks more spectacular with the dark being on the top. So I modified the recipe of our Tmavi to have it on the top, because the final gravity was a little higher than all our other blonde Czech lagers. So I kind of modify it so we can have the dark on top. So basically you pour your blonde beer. You try, exactly.
That's from Untapped at the bar.
Yeah,
that's not a good one.
That's pretty good. Yeah, no, that's good.
Let's see if I can find out. This is the old way, maybe.
Yeah, so that's the old way, and so I think it looks better the other way. I don't know. I don't know what you think, but
you know what? It probably does look a little cooler this way, to be honest. I feel like
I like it with the dark on top.
Right, yeah. And if I can, if I can find it really, really fast, because
you might even have a better picture. It's hard. When you're saying it's like, oh, that one's okay. What qualities are you looking for in this pour that make it great?
Well, yeah, you just want to have a nice kind of balance, the foam and you don't want to have
even,
too much
symmetrical.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, right. I mean, there's no rule, I guess.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that in Czech Republic, when people ask, some local ask, maybe they could even ask like, okay, I want 1/3 dark, or I want half dark, and probably the tapster is going to do it the way that they want, right? God, I'm trying to find a picture here. I don't want to.
No,
but anyways, yeah.
Take your time. Take your time.
I got the ones from Budvar and from Urquell.
And while you're sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, please.
I was going to say, I saw something that Max posted on Twitter like a week or two ago with a 3-layered one.
Oh, that's insane! Oh. Yeah, I just saw that.
So that's
isn't that nuts?
So the amber lager, the dark lager, and then like the Sklepník or something.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, looks like they're doing that. I didn't even know. So I'm kind of if somebody asked for it, I mean, why not? But I like to keep it, I tell the staff, don't go too crazy because when I have to do the beer tax, when I have to do the beer taxes, it's kind of like if you mess it like this, well, okay, how much I sold of that beer and how much I sold of that beer. So, like for a Rejane, it's going to be, I know it's about 150, 150 millimeter of, no, that's not true. It's going to be about 250 millimeter of light, the light beer, and 250 of the dark. So when I do my beer tax, and I know that, okay, every Rejane pour, there's 250 ml of the dark. But if they go crazy like that, they're screwing me up a little bit.
God damn it! I never thought about it.
I hope AGCO is not listening to this.
I imagine they probably aren't. I think we're safe.
Hey, I'm a very, very honest business owner, so I have nothing to hide.
Best way to be.
So to go back on your question, Nathan. So you pour the blonde. You try no foam, and then you slowly pour the dark one. With the foam dark one on top, and after that it's just a bit of time, and then it's just kind of like settled like the layers and stuff. And yeah, that's okay. It's not that easy. If your beers are too similar, final gravity, you're gonna have some, maybe a little bit more problem. But if you're a few points away, then you're fine.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So yeah, because I got a few more questions actually on the going to LUKR and doing the Czech thing, which is really cool, and that's kind of a good segue maybe into the Czech stuff we'll talk about in a bit. So LUKR, the company, puts on a course where you guys can actually go there and they teach you like for a full day or multiple days how to best utilize the LUKR. And I know kind of what you were just saying. I've been told before, like JP at Silo in Montreal was kind of explaining that, like, yeah, because it's like a ball bearing inside it, and if you open it up a little bit, it's really micro bubbles. The micro bubbles make the foam, and it's that real pillowy mousse foam. And then if you open it up further, it lets the liquid out more, and then that. So what do they sort of show you in the course that helps you if you can share it, that helps you sort of maybe improve your the pour?
Yeah they do different classes, right? I mean, if you're one day in Pilsen and you just want to do like an introduction class, you can take it like a 1 day class. But the master class goes to 3 days. I don't think they do more than 3 days. I think that's the maximum. So obviously they go, the course started with the introduction, a little bit of story of the LUKR, blah blah blah, and then it's not just the pouring, it's the maintenance of the whole of the whole like beer line like system, and the way to maintain it. And tapsters in Czech Republic, it's really beautiful to see. They take so much pride into what they do. And the tapster is kind of like it's the pillar of the pub, right? And compared to Godspeed, the only thing, if I could go back and redo the setup, I would have the taps where we're not putting our back to the customer, right? Because now I did our tap system as a single draw, just to have like a very short line, to have a very minimize waste, and it's really simple because the cold room is just beside it. But if I could go back, I would change the whole thing to have and I'm thinking about it, to be honest with you, to kind of modify the bar, to put the tower so people can see, because it's kind of a show too, right? I mean, it's amazing.
Absolutely.
For everything, right? Everything is important. The cleanliness of the system, the maintenance of it, the glassware, how to wash glasses. And it's a little bit unfortunate because Ontario, we're so strict on the health is so strict. I think we're one of the worst place in the world that we need like this amount of ppm of chlorine into the glass washer. And but in Czech Republic, everything is done by hand, right? And we want to switch to that. But I mean, is that a gray zone with the with the law and stuff. So yeah, everything is just mind blown the way they do things. So they go through all that, and obviously the pours. So the thing you want is, in a lot of the tapsters, they have their own style. You go to the Golden Tiger in Prague, the guy just like swirl this thing of foam and before and then, but you just look at him for like an hour and all his pours are consistent. So no matter your style, you need to, the idea is to be consistent, is to build the best foam possible on top of that beer. So, they show you the techniques of how to build that foam, and after that how to not disturb that foam, and there's a way to pour it, like the angle and the nozzle, and you don't want to create too much turbulence, because that's going to create even like a bigger bubbles. So you want to pour it in a certain angle, like in the nozzle, pretty much touching the glass. And we were not doing that at the beginning, so that was my biggest struggle. And you have the best tapster. So Andrej, like he won the best. There's that competition every year in Czech Republic, and he won top tapster, and he's the teacher at LUKR. So it's pretty. I remember, like, me and Max we're just shaking, on our first pours, and we're so nervous, and but yeah, that's the whole thing, and just like, no matter what you do, just keep it keep it consistent, and obviously you want that foam to be perfect, and stick on the glass, but for that you need a very clean glass, so that's the number one step.
How do they suggest you clean the glass? Say for people at home to clean the glass that don't have AGCO regulations, how do we do it?
Everything by hand, like a sponge that's going to be dedicated only for that. Don't use the sponge that you will, whatever, you're going to clean your other plates and things with grease on it or whatever. So have the specific sponge for it. You can use like any good soap. You wash inside, outside. Then it's kind of interesting, because they let it, a lot of time they just kind of let it sit a little bit with if there's no space in the cold bucket, because that's the next thing, and they just kind of let it sit there with a bit of still a bit of soap on it, and then when there's space in the tub, then they rinse it with cold water, and then they put it in a 4 degrees Celsius kind of a cold bath until it's ready for service. So, and that's the other thing that's a bit of a gray zone in Ontario, I guess. We kind of do it, we put our glasses in a cold bath. We're maybe technically not supposed to do it. I encourage everybody to do it. So maybe if more people do it, then maybe the governments will say like, okay, I mean, it's just a normal thing to do. But it's just a recirculating water bath that keeps the glass cold, because you want to serve the beer in a glass that's about the same temperature that is going to go out of the tap, just not to shock anything. Yeah, okay. So that's another thing, right? I mean, heat transfer, right? If you have like a warm glass and bubbles gonna, it's gonna disturb, it's gonna be disturbed and stuff. So that's the whole idea. So they teach you these kind of things. Right. Sorry for the long answer.
No, dude, this is like fascinating to me. Like I said before off air, this is the one part of beer that I feel like my knowledge is lacking, and I'm fascinated about the Czech stuff and everything that you're doing, which is essentially I would probably credit you specifically for introducing, you didn't personally do it, but your brewery introduced me to all this stuff on a higher level and got me excited about it. So that's fascinating, because I always thought, so it's like, how everyone always talks shit about the, like if you go to a sports bar and they've got the mugs and you're getting a pint of Budweiser or coolers, and it's obviously has to be poured into a frozen glass because the beer doesn't taste good when it's warm. This is 4 degrees, so this is keeping it at the same serving temperature. Okay.
Kind of, right? That's the idea.
That's
I
the
mean,
idea.
frozen. It's frozen might be a little too much,
Right.
frozen glasses. But
Okay.
but I mean, you try, you try to keep things at the same kind of like same temperature. Just try to avoid like too much shock, right?
Gotcha.
It's like the human body, right? It's kind of like the human body, like we don't like to go in like these high variation of put yourself in a very cold bath, you just go like so
Ease into it.
yeah, you just try to keep things like at the similar kind of temperatures and stuff. So yeah.
Okay.
So I think it makes a lot of sense.
No, now you're saying it like this, it's complete sense. Another question I have about this, which they might not have gone over with you, but did they, as far as pouring from cans, I know there's like, the 3-step slow pour and stuff like that, but is there an optimal way to pour, whether the folks in the Czech Republic have thoughts on this or you personally, but is there an optimal way to pour from a can, say a lager, Pilsner or something like that specifically?
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
You know what? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we didn't go through that, right? We really focus on the tap. I think it's probably more a question for the Belgians, or because in in Germany, if you ask I probably not everywhere, but if I go to Bamberg at Mars, for example, Mars Brewery, and I will order something that's not on tap that I want in bottle, and they just open that 500 ml bottle and they just like put it upside down and straight in the glass, just like, and that's how they do it. Is that the best way? I mean, I don't know. It's kind of cool actually, but
yeah.
I mean, for me, like the angle thing, and that's kind of like what we usually do. You create a bit of foam, and then you put about a 45, and I try to get the beer going on the side of the glass there, and just slipping under the foam. I guess that would be the
optimal
most the optimal way for me, I guess.
I think that's what that's the same as what the True History boys were telling us, is you kind of do that do that bit of a hard pour at first to get that bit of foam, and that and then you say then you do the angle to to kind of slowly get the rest of it up.
I did this a while ago. We did these videos just for jokes on TikTok for BAOS that was like how not to pour a beer. And one of them was like just basically turning the can upside down and doing it aggressively. So we're just messing around, and people were commenting. It's our most viewed video, got like 100,000 views. I'm like, it's ridiculous. But people were saying like, no, that's if you want a good head, you should do it that way. And then after this was even before I discovered the love for the LUKR and Mliko specifically. So even now, what I've been doing tonight, just because I have these couple mugs, I've been like pouring it aggressively, even to the point where I'd still have some left, because I want, even if it's like, 2/3 foam to begin with, it'll dissipate a little bit, but it gives me a real extra big foam that's like that nice, sweet, beautiful thing. And I thought, I've been trying it since people said that, and I was like, I kind of like doing it this way out of the can. I know what we just described with the 45, I would do that for 95% of beers. But for the Crispies, I've been trying to, like, if I got a big enough glass, like dump it a bit, and it seems to work pretty well. But I don't know if that, like, does that release too much carbonation or something, or is it like, you know what I mean? I don't know how.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the first step, like I said, is you need a very clean glass, right? Because just if your glass not clean, I mean, whatever, how much effort you put into the pour, even the LUKR pour, like the head is just gonna die. So that's the first one. Like I said, like the sponge, like dedicated for that, and just a nice rinse, and just like a dry, like you don't wipe with a cloth the inside of your glass, just leave it dry naturally. Yeah, and then try it for fun, at home, just like and I don't know at what temperature is your fridge, but try to mimic. You can put like a cold water in a bag with a bit of ice, and try to mimic that. Keep it 5 minutes there, and then give it a pour, and you'll see it makes a difference.
That's
Yeah.
a really good idea. I might actually try that. I love that. This is so fascinating. While we're still, whenever anyone wants to go to the next beers, ready whenever you are, but I've still got more on this stuff. So, okay, so in Czech, you did the course. That sounds phenomenal. Did you do anything else there that was super cool or that was inspiring to you guys? I imagine yes, but yeah, was there anything that oh man, we saw this shit and we're going to do that this year? Like,
well, the coolest is to drink a lot of Pilsner Urquell.
Yeah, fresh from the source.
I mean, for me, people always ask me why Czech, but the nice thing about being in Czech Republic is like, you just, most of the time it's just one beer. It's that same beer, and you drink a lot of it, and you have a good time with people, and you just forget about that beer, and it's so good, and you just like, you can just focus on talking about life, and talking about nice thing instead of just talking about the beer all the time. And that's what that's what a lot of the Germans do too, right? It's pretty common in Europe. We don't necessarily have that beer culture here, but it's just the greatest thing, and to find yourself in a pub there and it's just like drinking one after the other. So that's pretty cool, and like seeing some of the for me some of the best pubs in the world. It's just being there. It's an amazing thing. But apart from that, this time we did a couple of collaborations in the Czech Republic. So and I went to see the Coopers, say hello to the Coopers at Urquell that made my barrels. So we're still kind of like keep in touch and stuff. It's kind of nice. So I did a collaboration with this brewery called Pioneer. It's the second time we brew with them. They're a little brewery in the town of Saaz, where the Saaz hops grow.
Oh,
and
okay. Cool.
Mikhail is amazing. He's such an amazing guy and brewer, and he actually got credited from the what's those guys in the US that every year they kind of credit people for beer.
Not Untapped?
No, not Untapped. Like
Beer Advocate, the Brewers Association.
No, but it's something quite big. Like a couple of years ago, we added for Svetli and for Sklepník, and I was really happy about that. But this guy got it for Resident is Svetli Ležák, like one of the top Czech lagers in the in the world. So, and but he also focused on kind of on modern kind of IPAs and kind of hazy, but with some bitterness, maybe a little bit more like the New England IPAs when they started, when they started with with Hill Farmstead back in the days and stuff like that. It's there's some I would say probably a better balance between the aromatic and the bitterness in the beers, instead of being like fully like only aromatic. So he's focusing on these kind of beers, like a cold IPAs kind of thing.
I found them. They were wicked labels. Really cool.
Yeah. So we did a beer, the last one we did a beer called Superstition, because it's Godspeed's 7th anniversary this year. And I'm really superstitious, and I always use the number 4, 7, 9, or 13 in everything I do.
Okay.
4 and 9 are unlucky numbers in Japanese, and 7 and 13, well, we know. So so we brew a beer called Superstition. But the nice thing about these people, and they're just a few kilometers away from the Hop Research and Institute in Czech Republic. So we have access to every new hop that is going to be on the market in 2 years or so. We every time I brew with him, we just we experiment with new Czech hops that are not on the market yet. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, it's a privilege for me to be able to do that. So I brewed there, and at the same time I did my hop selection, because I do my own hop selection now. So I try to go every year, select my own Saaz, because there's so many type of Saaz, and people think of Saaz as one hop. I mean, there's so many varieties of it. So I just go choose my own, and it's justifies a trip to Czech Republic, and yeah. And I did another second. Well, I need a third collaboration with Budvar in Czech Republic, known as Czechvar in Canada. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting story. I don't want to go. Yeah, I told you before we signed in today that I was going to be honest, but there's a bit of a excitement and frustrations a little bit with this, because yeah, I'm the first international brewery that collaborate with Budvar ever, and I'm the only brewery up to date that brewed at their brewery, and not only one time, two times. And but I mean, I have the amazing relationship with the brewing team, the brewmaster. We're friends. We text each other, and we really care for each other. But it's a almost 3 million hectoliter brewery, and the sales and marketing is something different. And there's a lot of clash between both, and it's not just Budvar. It's a lot of breweries that I know. And it's a big, it's a big corporation. So we're having a beer now sitting in the tanks at Budvar that they just don't know how they're gonna market and sell. As strange as it sounds. So yeah, kind of weird, but I brewed at Budvar. It's kind of nice. Nothing can take that away from me. So 600 hectoliters, single batch. This is like one third of my yearly production. One batch. It's pretty fascinating to be there, and I know these guys are still very old school. It's kind of like 100% whole cones and had it by hand, and like we chop the hops with the hacks, before putting it in the kettle. It's still used like the old wooden brew stick, to measure the evaporation in the kettle, and
wow,
it's just amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Some of the best thing that happened in my career. Yeah. So that's what I did.
I love that. Man, what a trip! 10 days, man. I love hearing about it. It's top of my bucket list. So that's fucking awesome. That's so sick.
Yeah. And obviously a little trip to Bamberg, obviously, because I love Bamberg and Munich. So yeah.
You hit some nice spots there.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Yeah. Hell yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, now, do you want to pivot to one of the Czech beers, since we were sort of on a Czech kick?
I think we should.
Yeah, let's do. I think we should do Sklepník, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the move.
Okay, I'll go get that.
Yes, absolutely. This is the stainless edition.
Excited.
Oh man, this is one of my favorite beers. Period. I'm trying to take a look. I think it's one of the most drank beers that I have. That I've had. I love this so much.
Yeah,
it's so exceptional. We'll let Bim explain exactly what it is, but there's two versions of this beer. There's the old stainless, and then we have the wood one, which I guess you were talking about, the Coopers. So I guess we can dive into that in a bit.
Yeah.
And I guess the easiest way to introduce this beer is Godspeed's dedication, or like tip of the hat to Pilsner Urquell.
Yeah, and look at that.
Oh,
the Japanese version of Urquell with in small cans. I like it.
I've never seen that. Yeah,
I drink a lot of that here. Yeah.
How was it over there compared to say in Canada? Does it ship differently, or does it taste the same as Canada?
Yeah, it tastes pretty similar, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, same. There's a lot of obviously, I don't know if you know that, but Pilsner Urquell is owned by the Japanese, right? It's owned by Asahi.
I did not know that.
So yeah, Asahi bought Urquell, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago,
Okay.
maybe a little bit more. Yeah, yeah, and so Urquell is pretty. Yeah, it's pretty famous here. You got and the Japanese too. They put a lot of not to say we don't in North America, but they put a lot of pride into the service and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of LUKRs here and a lot of beautifully poured Pilsner Urquell in Japan.
That's encouraging. At
Oh,
the
that's
very least,
great.
you can
Yeah.
drink good
Oh
out
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Look at this glorious little guy.
yeah. Sklepník.
Let's go.
Yeah, the stainless edition.
So,
Um,
talk us through
yeah,
this one as you're pouring it. What's the
yeah.
deal? When did this beer drop?
Okay.
How talk about the inspiration and maybe how this beer came about.
Yeah, so about I would say 13 years ago, my first 12 years ago, to my first trip to Urquell. I don't know if you've been there.
I have not.
Um, yeah, I encourage you to go. It's amazing, amazing brewery tour. And at the end, at the end of the tour, they bring you into the cellars, and where they still make a small production of the way that they used to do it before stainless steel
Mm.
came. So they do that Urquell in the wood vats, and I remember, man, like drinking that the first time. It's okay. This is it. This is if I can resume one beer and you know my thinking, my philosophy, everything that I want in life, it's that. Top revelation for me ever. And you're into the cellars. It's magical. You're surrounded by these big barrels, and I remember that day. It's like, okay, this is Saaz hop. This is beer. This is what I want to do. And so obviously, still the end of Jude Ciel, and then moving to Japan, and then starting my brewery, and I say, and then coming back to Canada, and then open Godspeed, and then say, okay, now it's the time. Now that I'm installed and I can focus on this. And the timing was great too, because it coincided with the trip, the trade mission I did with the Czech Republic in 2018. So the government invited. It was the first time ever they were doing this, like a trade mission. They selected 7, 8 breweries in North America. I was part of the original tour, 1 week touring around Czech Republic, maltsters, hop farms, brewhouse manufacturers, breweries, and we end up at Urquell again, and now we have like there's a special treatment, so we can drink more than one little glass and stuff like that, and so yeah, just came back from that trip, and it's okay. This is the time. For me, I'm not trying to push things. I just go with, just like we do today. We just go with the flow. And I just follow my career and my inspirations and stuff. And it's okay. This is the time to just go to hit hard on the Czech styles, and because this is obviously what I love, and well, one of the things that I love. But yeah, and then I said, okay, I'm starting. So the first beer I tried and made, it's actually the stainless steel, because I didn't have the barrels yet.
Of course.
So I said, okay, and for me, the one thing I'm really good at is recording the taste and in my brain, and going back home. And it's kind of like a chef, right? People ask me all the time, do you do test batches? Do you do small batches? No, I always go for a big batch, of whatever I do, it's kind of like a chef. I've been brewing 32 years, right? So you kind of like, okay, I want to mimic the taste of that beer in the cellars, but with my own techniques and stuff. So that's how it started.
Right.
And crazy enough, man, like when I went to do the barrels, when we, because when the barrel thing happened, I spent a full month in Pilsner Urquell making the barrels with them. This is my 3 weeks. This is the highlight of my career by far. I don't know if I can ever beat that, but
That's amazing.
So I brought a bunch of the stainless steel version to give to the coopers and stuff, and to give to the brewmaster, and to give to the Sklepmeister, so the cellar master guy, and we did side by side of this beer with the Pilsner Urquell in the barrels. And I mean, I don't know if I've been that nervous in my life with beer. I mean, I was like, it's 7 Celsius down there, but I was sweating like, and because I'm with the brewmaster, and I'm with the cellar master, and I'm with the brewmaster of Proud, which is their craft beer section of Pilsner Urquell, and they try it, and they all look at me kind of like with that face, like, you motherfucker, kind of thing. I mean. I say, okay, and then inside of me, I'm keeping calm. And I say, wow, I really nailed that one, huh? And it's I was a very, very proud moment in my career. Like, okay, it's pretty similar. So yeah. But the funniest thing after that, when I got the barrels, I mean, we can go through the story. Thank God we have 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, no rush. Let's go.
But it's funny because when we got the barrels and I start doing the Sklepník pitch line, then the beer doesn't taste as much as what it tastes in the cellar. The beer tastes more like the actual classic Urquell. So, and the stainless steel version tastes more like the barrel version. It's kind of weird, huh?
Mm.
Yeah. So, very interesting.
Any reason? And did you figure out why that is?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I got the barrel. It was very interesting. So when Pilsner Urquell said yes, so people always ask me, how did you get those barrels? And I say, well, I asked. If you don't ask in life, I mean, you don't get nothing. So it all started in 2018 we're at Urquell, and we're doing the tour with the brewmaster back in the day, Mr. Berka. He's retired brewmaster, and there's this person with him that's managed like all the Pilsner Urquell international projects, and they say like, we're looking in the near future to do collaboration with North American breweries, and obviously I'm there, and I say, hey, I'm the one. And they ask me, why is that? Well, I mean, you're owned by the Japanese. I mean, I'm one of the 5 white guy that opened a brewery in Japan. I'm dedicated to lager brewing for years. I think I'm the one, just trying to sell myself there, and say, okay, we'll keep that in mind. And we exchange business cards. And so I say, if they don't follow up in a month, I'll write them an email and say, hey, I mean, we should start working on that. So, a month later says, yeah, we're not ready for this yet. And, everything takes time, and we're a year after, kind of thing. And then just like that says, well, if there's not going to be a collaboration, could there be some barrels? And I was thinking on used barrels. I was not thinking on new barrels. So they said, well, they didn't say no. And they said, yeah, we can talk to the coopers and see. And so back and forth for about 2 years. Obviously, COVID came in the meantime. And one day, out of the blue, I get an email that says, Luc, yeah, we're accepting your request for barrels, but we say we're going to do something that we never done ever, and we probably maybe going to do it only once in the lifetime. I say, oh. So they said, you would need to, if we do this, you need to come to Pilsen to, because we want to show you from A to Z, building the barrels together, helping on the maintenance. And the timing was also once a year, they do the maintenance of all the barrels in the cellar, how to pitch them and stuff. So we want you to be there to experience that and to see how we do things. And I told myself, wait a minute, let's see my schedule.
It's empty.
I just,
twist my arm, right?
Yeah, and but back then I was still the only person in the brewery, right? So I had to like plan everything to it. I didn't have any production for almost a month at Godspeed, but I say this is a opportunity that I cannot miss, right? So yeah, that was amazing time. And so now anyways, getting the barrels, we got them in 2021, and I was like, I had all this thing planned, to build a cold room for it, and then it's like it's post-COVID, and like it's gonna cost me like $150,000 to brew to build a cold room for the barrels. I say I cannot invest that much money and stuff. So the kind of like the project of the cold room kind of fell through, and then I said, okay, now I need to think about some ways of cooling the barrel in the inside. And but we're getting the barrels, and I remember the Sklepmeister, the cellar master, I asked him for if I have one advice to ask you, what it's going to be. He says, don't leave those barrels empty, so. And it was already like, it took like 3 weeks, right, to cross the Atlantic empty. I tried to have them to fill them with Pilsner Urquell, but they didn't want. That would have been one of the most amazing story ever, fill them with the beer, cross the Atlantic, and, we'd package it at Godspeed and we'd throw a huge party. But they refused. So the barrels were empty. So it arrived in Toronto. There's no time to waste. I have to fill those barrels. So I say, you know what? I'm going to fill them, and I'm going to think about the plan B, like the modification of the, of the cooling system and stuff. So until now, like the beer has not been, when I transfer the beer, I transfer it at 0.5 Celsius, the coldest I can. And that wood is so thick. I mean, it's a huge insulated in English, insulated. Yeah. So the beer will stay between 0 and 10 Celsius for about almost a couple of weeks, and then it starts to climb. And then it starts to climb a little bit, and it will go all the way to maybe 14 by the time I transfer it back to packaging. So I think this. This few weeks in the barrels at that a little higher temperature, I think that what make the unique taste of Sklepník right now. If you want 100% honesty for all the viewers out there, that's what it is. But it's still a very nice beer, right? But once,
it's delicious.
Yeah. So now we put a hold on the barrels. I don't know if you noticed, because we're in the process of repitching them. So I'm going in April for, we're going to be repitching them, and we're going to be modifying them with a coil system inside the barrel. And,
cool.
and let's see if the beer changes a little bit in taste or not. The pitch also have a contribution in the taste. So, that makes it unique too versus the stainless.
Okay, I got a bunch of questions on this. This is fucking fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. How big is the barrel?
40 hectoliters.
Well,
4,000
big.
liters.
Fuck. Okay, that's massive.
I remember seeing the pictures when you guys, when you guys announced this, and and I was blown away. Like, they're huge.
So it's a big ass barrel. What does pitch mean? What's pitch? What's pitch lined?
So pitch line, so it means so pitch is it's a resin basically.
Okay.
And Urquell have their secret recipe that they would not tell me.
Okay.
But basically, I know it's a mix of conifer trees, like a resin with beeswax, like a paraffin, like and stuff like that. The
To stop
the
it
level,
leaking.
I mean, yeah, everything's food grade, obviously, and yeah. So basically, before stainless steel, right? That was the way to to preserve the beer, lager the beer, and in terms of lager beers versus lambics and stuff like that, they did not want to have any wood contribution in the taste, and no potential kind of bacterial infection from the wood. And what's really specific about those barrels also is like they can handle pressure.
Okay.
So basically Urquell was, they were bunging, so they will do open fermentation in wood, then, X amount of time before end of fermentation, transfer it in the barrel, bung the barrel, and now the natural carbonation will do in the barrel. I mean, this is very unique. So that was the whole goal. So the pitch acts as a an extra sealant too for the barrels, because they told me at the beginning, the more you pitch it, the more the barrel will be able to handle pressure. Maybe at the first time, that it's just a thin layer of pitch, and the more you pitch it, the more it becomes thicker, and so it seals better the barrel. And when you add the pitch at the beginning in the barrel, it's anywhere between 180 to 215 Celsius, and you kind of
super hot.
You kind of sterilize the barrel that way. So that's how they used to do it, because they would, you don't CIP, you don't put chemicals in there, right? You don't want to spray chemical in a wood barrel. So that's their way of CIPing the barrel too. So they will put that pitch, and there's a technique to roll it on every sides, so to make sure like the pitch hits everywhere. And then when the beer is in it, then you don't want to have that wood. You don't want to have that wood flavor. That's
right.
That's what that was the whole. So that's what pitch is all about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you're repitching it, are you going to Toronto to repitch it, or are you sending the barrel to Prague or Pilsen to repitch it?
No, thank God, no. Yeah, so that's going to be the biggest challenge. That's been the biggest challenge, because I don't know. Maybe I should have prepped all this, but I could probably find some videos. Maybe I can show you from my camera there. But there's a very unique way they do at Urquell. But man, they're beating those barrels. It's kind of like 7 big guys, and they just like bam, bam, and spinning it. Yeah, but the difference with me and them, I mean, they have 7 coopers there that can fix the barrel, fix the leaks and stuff, and I don't have that, right? So for me, I said, okay, I need to figure out a way to be very smooth with the barrels.
Oh, so you don't want to break it or cause a leak, of course.
So we're developing a system where, because I mean, the beer is crazy. I mean, they're 900 kilograms empty, almost 1 ton, So you need to be careful too, right? I mean, it's not like small wine barrels. It's So the idea we got is kind of like we're gonna pulley the barrel out of the rack, and we are gonna add some wheels on the rack, and one wheel is gonna be a different size, and we're gonna put back the barrels on, and we're gonna roll it, and the barrel is gonna go like this. So to try to have the pitch to hit also the sides, the sides of the face of the barrels. So we're just, I'm crossing my fingers the first time we're doing this. And hopefully we're successful. If we're really successful, then you can think like the year after we're going to make it an event. We're going to invite people and just going to throw a huge party and do the pitch. Yeah. And obviously
Okay.
we're gonna have to do this outside because I don't do this in the brewery, with 200 Celsius pitch. And if something goes wrong, like you got the pitch everywhere in the brewery, Yeah.
It's gonna be a miss. So then,
Just to jump in there for
Yeah,
a
yeah.
second, I'll direct everyone to Godspeed's Instagram page, and if you go on the reels, it's not hard to find because there's not a lot of them. But the most recent one,
take a
and
look
you'll
right
see
now.
that it has the most views of everything. Like most of them are around a few thousand. This one is 958,000 views. It's
Yeah.
of showing that barrel getting rocked from side to side and and rolled down the ways and whatnot. It's really, really cool.
We were we were
That's
we
the
were
one.
so much yeah. We were so much looking for that million view. It's kind of, I've never been that excited about social media than that reel. It's I say,
It'll get
man,
there.
if we have a million, that means we're influencers or something.
Oh yeah, we might have to hire you, Luke. We might have to hire you, bro.
Well, you know what? It's funny because Max, that does all the communication, he does all the social media stuff. We've been trying to figure out how the hell does that happen, and even him, that he's a social media nerd, and we don't even know. We don't even know. One day I just opened my thing. It's like, holy crap, what is going on right now? And it's, when you say it's going viral, it's going viral. It was
That's
mind
pretty
blown.
crazy. Oh, that is a big. Oh,
Yeah.
they're just fucking throwing it around.
Yeah.
Oh
Man.
yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Yo, that's
Yeah.
insane.
So you
Okay,
see,
thank you for that, Nate.
just to see how big the barrels are. Look, that's me in the
Yeah, look
barrel
at
there.
that.
Well,
It's so
yeah.
big, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, man, it was such an amazing time.
Oh, dude.
It was kind of nice, and it's kind of nice in December because now I just emailed them, and yeah, man, come in, and they treat me like I'm at home. It's real nice, and people, I go in there, and people remember me, like, hey, Luke. It's like it feels very good.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's amazing.
Rockstar
amazing.
shit. So then, what flavors compared to the stainless, the barrel version of Sklepník? What would you say are the differences in the flavors that are brought out? Whether it's the pitch itself that gives it the flavor, since it's not touching the wood directly. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, pitch does. It's a big kind of discussion. There's a few people like there's going to be even more and more pitch line barrels beer probably in the near future. I think it's gonna. People are trying to get their hands on pitch, and I think there's one guy in Quebec that's kind of doing some tests in making a pitch to maybe sell commercially. But yeah, there's discussions like I don't know if you know Notch Brewing
In Massachusetts,
in the U.S. So I think the owner there, I think he's saying that pitch also brings a taste in the beer. I do think it's really obvious. I think in Sklepník, I don't know if it's because of the higher maturation temperatures that kind of gives it that extra taste, but yeah, it does. But the one thing that I was really shocked at the beginning is it brought some extra bitterness in the beer that I didn't think about, and then I had to go back and modify the original recipe of Sklepník to make it less bitter, because there's going to be some bitterness pick up in the barrel. So that was the most interesting thing for me so far with the barrels. Yeah, but there's definitely a contribution in
from that.
in taste, because if you don't, for example, if you don't repitch the barrel every time, or for me, I'm going to repitch them 1 year every year, but with time you would notice that, oh, there's less pitch now. So where that pitch went in the beer, right? Probably.
Right.
So there is a, I cannot I'm not a specialist yet. Maybe we can talk more about it in 20 years when I know everything about it. But it's still like the most amazing thing, still a learning process, and it's it's great. It's fun.
That's awesome, man. So they don't send you the pitch to repitch it; you just get it locally.
The coolest thing ever is I get the pitch from Pilsner Urquell.
That's what I was hoping.
And
and
you know, and they reuse the pitch, right? They reuse it. So I think the pitch that I have is probably 100 years old, if not more. Or part of it, you know. Yeah, so there's the historical part of it too, which is makes Sklepník unique, you know. It's like I got that privilege, you know. I'm not sure if it's ever going to happen again. That's the craziest thing, you know. When I told them in Pilsen, they were so innocent. I mean, they didn't even know how much to sell those barrels to me, because it never happened. They never had to sell a barrel ever. Right. You know, it's and I told them, guys, I mean, the coopers, they tell me every single day when I'm there, said, dude, you don't know what you're getting into. You know, and I say, you know what, man, I'm crazy enough. I'm taking the challenge, but at the same time, I told them, you don't know what you're getting into, because once I release these barrels, you're going to start having phone calls, probably from everywhere around the world. People want barrels. And the most amazing thing that they told me, and this is kind of like a little bit of my selfish side, you know, they said, well, we don't have enough wood to create barrels to a lot of people. We just have enough wood for our barrels, and for the first time in history, we make an extra 2 this year for you. So I say, perfect. So I don't know if it's going to happen again, if they're going to do or not. I mean, if they see the benefit of selling more barrels to the international or not, I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, hey, well, at least here in Toronto, and I guess anywhere else that gets the distro are very, very lucky individuals. So then, would you do? And correct, you might have said this before, but I wasn't 100% sure. Would you do other beers in the barrel aside from Sklepník?
You know what? If you know, it would be really sad, but if I would do probably if Sklepník doesn't sell enough, right? Because like I say, I need to keep this barrel full, right?
Gotcha.
And I'm not just gonna keep Sklepník in there for fun for like 4 months, right? Or maybe I could try and do a test. I mean, I might, but hopefully the goal is to it's people care enough about this beer that we can, you know, we can go with the 240 hex barrels all the time, you know, nonstop. So if not, then yeah, maybe we can see another beer in there, or maybe once in a while I'll do a little fun project. You know, maybe the English Pundet, like the Kinuki that you guys have, I don't have. Maybe it's something that I could do in the barrels, right? Because it's, you know, it's historically it's a beer made in barrels. So we'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah. But the idea is to only to have Sklepník in it. But yeah, we'll
gotcha.
See.
That makes sense. Do you lager it before it goes in the barrel, or is the barrel the lagering period?
So the way that I was doing it until now, and the way that I'm going to do it from now on with the modifications, because at the beginning I say I want to keep the barrel as it is. You know, I'm lucky enough, I've got those barrels from Urquell. I want to, you know, pay fully respect to them. I don't want to modify them. And I kind of realized that it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough to do, you know, because we're transferring from the top. And so we're not transferring counter pressure. So it's kind of foaming a lot at the beginning. And so, you know, I said the best way I'm going to modify the barrels a little bit. But the thing is, I'm going to modify it in the door. There's a door in the front. Mm-hmm. And I say, if I change my mind in the future, I'm just going to have Urquell to remake me a an original door, so the barrel was going to stay intact, like the original one. But yeah, so right now the way that I do it, because of that, I ferment in stainless, and I will crash cold in stainless for about a week, just to clean it a little bit, because yeah, just to clean it a little bit, and then transfer it like super cold in the barrels, because I didn't have the cooling system yet. So it's really like it's an interesting approach. It made Sklepník what Sklepník is, which is, a lot of people, it's not me saying it, but a lot of people say it's a world-class beer. So I'm pretty happy to, but I only hope that it gets better with the new way I want to do it. Basically, the whole idea is to carbonate the beer inside the barrel, right? So
Gotcha.
I would have to transfer it. Before the end of fermentation to bung it. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the whole idea. So yeah.
And it sits in the barrel for how long?
This is something we still have to decide, right? It's
Gotcha.
We're testing.
There's no
testing.
right or wrong answer type of thing.
Yeah, it's
When
it's
it
too long.
sits until
It's too long.
yeah.
It's too long. Better, a Pilsner Urquell cycle is about 4 weeks.
Oh, okay. That's quick.
So that's really quick. And for me, always, the number 7 comes back like my lucky number, and where I feel it makes sense for a lot of my lagers, where I feel like everything bond together. It's like at week 6, 7, 8. So we'll see. I mean, if we're happy at 4 weeks, and if Sklepník just go like, we're very limited to, we only have two barrels, right? We don't have more.
Oh,
So
that's
if
two.
that beer
I thought it was
becomes,
just one. Oh, that's even
yeah, no,
cooler.
there's 2.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And they told me, I kind of regretted, they told me they had enough wood to make a third one if I wanted. But I said, with the space I have, I'm going to go with 2, And I said, man, should have gone with 3. Yeah.
It's okay.
It's funny because when you go to Godspeed and you see there's the big window in front, right? And if you're in a certain angle in the brew pub, there's a reflection, and it looks like there's a third one, but there's not. And a lot of people say, you have 3 barrels. No, I have 2. But, but I tell them the story. It's like, yeah, I regret not having 3. But that's what it is.
That's a nice optical trick, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, next
okay.
time you go, it has to be at night and with a certain lighting, and they're like, yeah, there's a third one, and there's like, no, there's not.
That's almost a tease, though, because like, especially if it's at night, like if you're on your way out and you're just catching the glimpse of that, I'm like, I should have gotten 3.
Just rubbing it in your face. It's fine. I'm sure the universe put it all together for that reason. You got your once again, you're the only person in the world, not just in Canada, not in Ontario, not in North America, but in the world who has these things. So I mean, like, you're 2 barrels up on every other brewery, period.
That's sometimes I have to pitch myself to kind of realize it. It's pretty crazy.
It's very
when you think
cool,
about
man.
it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's wild. And look, Sklepník is, I would say, probably, like, I don't think it's my favorite Pilsner. I don't know if there's anything I like more than this beer. I love this so fucking much. It's so exceptional. That went quicker than anything. I love this beer so much, man. Every time, if I'm going to Godspeed, I'll always buy more of that than, even though everything is fire, this is just my favorite period of any brewery ever. So it's, I love this, and it's very cool to finally get that full story about the pitch line barrel, man. That's so sick. And now I know what the fuck, because I feel like I say it all the time. Like, oh yeah, they got this pitch line barrel from Pilsner Urquell. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. I'm just saying words. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck it means. Now I do. Now I can explain it.
Yeah. And I have a little video here. I don't know if you can see it, but
hold it up.
At the beginning, they asked me what size of barrel I want, and I said, well, I want the traditional size. And it's okay. That's 40 hectoliters, and I kind of always ask myself, why 40? Why did you decide 40? And I asked the brewmaster, we had like Zoom calls and stuff before I hit Pilsen. And they told me, we'll let you figure out why it's 4,000 liters. I says, okay. And then, we're doing the maintenance of the barrels in the cellar, and I'm walking in the back of the coopers, moving the barrels in the cellar. And look at this. I hope you can see. So, sorry.
There you go. There we go. Yes, they're pushing that down. Oh,
okay,
yeah,
but
people
look,
listening,
but
look,
but look how close it is from the side of the walls.
Oh,
gotcha.
yeah.
It's like literally
Okay.
perfectly sized for the hallway.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, there's 9 kilometers, it used to be 9 kilometers of cellars, right? And
9
most
kilometers?
yeah. And
Jesus
most of those cellars are, they're not, there's small parts that are wider and stuff, but most of them, to go to the small cellaring room, are that size. So they made the maximum size barrel they could to roll it in those cellars. So that's why 4,000.
That's why 4,000.
They cannot do 4,500. It's 4,000 the max. So I thought it was, and when I saw that, I didn't realize it at first. I'm just taking the video. I'm all excited, and then I kind of realized it. Yeah, fuck, man. How do you guys like? You don't scrape the walls and stuff, and then that's when I realized, okay, they cannot have bigger barrels. Yeah, that's it.
The perfect size. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
This is money. Shall we hit the next one? I feel like I know we're drinking extra slow tonight because we're getting these amazing stories, so it's worth it.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry.
No.
Maybe about due for a bathroom break before we crack the next one.
I was kind of thinking that, but I wasn't sure. I thought it was just me. How's everyone feel? Bathroom?
Yeah. I'm still good. Maybe on the next one for me.
Okay. Nate, do you want to? We can.
Okay, well, if you want to keep it,
No.
We can stagger it. If you want to keep it going, I can go now, and you can go after or whatever.
Go.
Yeah,
Go wash
go
it,
for.
guys.
Okay, perfect. Nate. Okay, you know what? Let's just pause for a second, then we'll go, and then we can.
I'll go.
When you pause. After.
I can go grab the next beer if you guys want.
Okay, well, let's decide that beer,
while you do too.
and then we do that. Let's decide, and then we'll pause and go. What are you feeling, brother?
So where are we at now? You guys have Ikinuki, you have like Boo. I don't know. Did you want to, now that we're in the now that we're in the Czech stuff, you guys want to crack the Boo and I can have an Urquell,
Sure.
It's different beer, but
Okay, that works.
if you want.
Sweet. You know what? With all this talk of it, that makes sense. Perfect. Okay. So with that, I'll pause for a second. Nate and I'll run to the washroom, and Luke can finish that beer, and then we'll be back, and you guys won't even know it. We are back. All right. Yeah. So now we're going to do, just as Bim suggested, Nate and I are going to do, how do you pronounce this again, bro? Is it?
Buch.
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 Okay.
Yeah. It means it means God in Czech language.
Ah, that's dope.
There's like the it's funny because when I've decided on the name, it's interesting because I started to brew Buch before it was a collaboration with Czechvar. So I brewed a couple of batch, and then when I told Adam Brosch, the brewmaster of Czechvar, of Budvar, to I got him into the idea of making a collab together, and I said, well, the one thing I would ask for is like, we brew at your place and we brew at my place too, so, and but the sales and marketing people at Budvar, they were not into that name for the beer. They said it's too much of a strong word. It sounds pretentious, and I say, you know what? I mean, I don't know. We don't see it that way here, and everybody's excited about it and the name. And even the Czech people that lives in Ontario, they love the name and everything. So I said, I don't know what's the why you fear so much about it. So the collaboration name in Czech Republic and in Toronto is different. And yeah, and for me it's kind of like boo. It's kind of nice, you know. Our brewery's name is Godspeed, and you know, and it's a little bit of not a play on word, but you know, they cannot call it Budvar here. They have to call it Czechvar. So for me, it's kind of like boo. You know, like the first syllable of what they should be calling it. So you know, I told the sales and marketing team about that, and they say, So they were not convinced. But the craziest thing with Budvar, they still allow me to brew it anyways. You know, it's even if they're not there. So you know, Adam came one time. I hope he's gonna come every couple of years to brew it with me or not. But obviously they seems like they don't mind us brewing it. It's extra publicity for them too, anyways. So
totally.
And it's not that I really care about ratings, but it's pretty high rated lager in the world, you know. So at one point it was one of the top ones. So
it's at 4.09. It's everywhere, which is massive. Most lagers don't get over 4. Like.
Yeah, well, the more and more now, right? Now that the lagers, it's funny because, you know, we talk about ratings for a minute. It's if I would start Godspeed now, and you know, with the reputation that we have now, I mean, we would be a 4-star brewery kind of thing, you know, because now suddenly lagers are being you know, rated in the 4s now, you know, and you never see this a few years ago, even if it's the perfect lager.
Yeah, which is
I'm gonna go for the Urquell. I try to get a Budvar here, but you know, Budvar is they're almost nowhere to be seen in Japan. So I tried to get a can, I couldn't, so I'm gonna go with the competitor.
Hey, respect. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense to do that now with that. I forgot to ask you before, what does Sklepník mean?
So Sklepník means cellar in Czech. Yeah, cellar man. Sklep means cellar. Sklepník means the cellar man.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The person taking care of it.
And Sklepmeister means the cellar master. So,
yeah,
but I thought Sklepník sounds good, and thank you for David. Used to be at the Czech consulate in Toronto. He's the guy that found the name for us.
Okay. On that note, actually, I wanted to ask before we talk about this beer, because I just want to talk about the original version of the Bière plus the collab version. One thing I love that you do with all your Czech beers, and this is a complete opposite of what happens in Canada. You have a description on the can in English, and the other description is in Czech. Do you want to just talk about that? Like, who does the translations? Why did you do that? I just love it. It makes it feel like, oh man, I've got a can. Like, it's really replicating that experience. Yeah, so cool.
It's crazy. It's crazy because the first edition of Sklepník Urquell, so the stainless version, everything was written in Czech. There's nothing written in English at all. So on the first version, I don't know if you remember, the label changed now, but everything, even like Godspeed Brewery was written like Pivovar Godspeed, and Made with Struggle and Love, also in Czech. Everything was in Czech. But now we change it obviously to I mean, there's a translating app. It's easy to translate these days, but we figured, okay, let's put in English, and the people at the Czech consulate, they translate for me, because obviously we have a great relationship. So Max do all the writing because he's amazing at it, and we send the final text to them. Now it's Eva at the Czech consulate in Toronto that do the translation for us. Yeah,
amazing. That's so cool, man. Just like it's the small, just like with the beer, it's small touches in the packaging and in that experience that like
that really make it feel authentic.
Exactly. And particularly with now in hindsight, the last couple hours of stories about this stuff, like it makes even more sense that like that's the level of attention to detail that Godspeed is doing with the product, from the what's in the can to what's on the outside of the can. It's phenomenal, man. It truly is.
Yeah, well, thank you. You know, we try to give a, you know, to provide like a great experience, you know, to the drinker. For me, it's like if people ask me, a lot of brewers ask me for advice, and I say, you know, what advice you have, this, that. I say, go travel, go drink at the source, go get inspired, understand about the culture, because the culture is the fifth ingredient of the beer. If you start understanding about all that in the big picture, come back home and you know, do it properly and just add these little details, you know, and you can tell it in your story too, which is important. Right.
Couldn't agree more. I love that, bro. It's great advice.
Yeah.
So this particular beer, I'm just reading the description and stuff now. So you have the original version, which you already done, because I remember having that many times. And this is I imagine the translation is special edition at the top of the can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
what's different?
Yeah. So okay. Again. Back and forth emails with sales marketing team at Budvar. Well, they were not too for them. I hope they listen to this. God, they were not really fond of the name, right? But I ended up convincing them if we're gonna write special edition after Buch, so it kind of lightens it a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
So they were fine with that. But for us, it's Buch. It's not Buch special edition. You know, it's just Buch.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So and we started with the red label. Now we got the gold label since the collaboration. So basically, I sacrificed that beer that I made, inspired by Budvar, obviously, to make it a collaboration with Budvar. But the beer was already made when I came back from the Czech mission in 2018. You know, I got inspired by. It was my first time visiting Budvar in 2018 versus Urquell that I did previous years ago before. So I kind of like, okay, and it's a very different beers too than Sklepník. I mean, it's same ingredients, but Buch is 100% whole cones hops in it, no pellets, and you know, it's day and night. I mean, the hop aromatics in there is totally different. I mean, the grain bill is the same, but the hopping profile is totally different. Yeah.
I agree completely, and that, like Craig was saying, that like Sklepník is the beer for him. Like when he's there, for me, I think it's Buch. That's like this is the one for me. I'm whole cone Saaz, like I go nuts for it.
You should too.
and this beer is fucking spectacular, man.
Yeah,
for me, this is the one.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's interesting to see the you know, our customers, you know, some there are the biggest Buch fan, and some are the you know, the biggest Sklepník fans, and some are still stick to the old Svetli, you know. So yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of funny that I'm very proud of that. We have 3 Czech pale lagers that we could have as a core brand, you know, and the 3 of them are made with the same exact ingredient, but you know, one's old cone, you know, there's little variation in techniques, but people are loving them and they're seeing it as a separate beer, all of them. And you know, for me, it makes me so happy to see and to be able to experience this, you know. Yeah, it's fun.
It's hella cool.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, but now
Mega.
it's kind of yeah. Sorry, go for it. Go,
No.
please.
All I was just going to ask was what the difference would be between this one and the original Red Label one. Like, did Adam work with you? Did you guys work together and like change up some things to kind of make it different, or is it essentially no same thing?
It's interesting because well, I modified the recipe, but it's interesting. Adam kind of like the nice thing about the brewing team at Budvar, they kind of like they have 100% trust in me and what I do, and I told him when we brewed, because we brewed at Budvar first, like the beer, and and then they came to brew it at Godspeed, and I said, well, Adam, I have my technique that I made, because I have not designed a brew house to brew 100% whole cones beers, right? I don't. I at the beginning, like 2016, when I designed the brew house, I did not think that okay, one day I'm gonna put shitloads of whole cones in this whirlpool. So I modified the way, so from batch number one to till 2, 3, and then I think at batch number 3 or 4 I kind of said, okay, I nailed it, and that's what it is. I mean, it can always change a little bit, but after that it's just what you want is the freshness. You want the best Saaz selection, and at some point where you nail the process, you nail the everything. It's all about the ingredients and the health of the yeast and time of lagering. So I modified the recipe, and I told Adam about it before he came. I said, okay, I mean, I'm doing something different here. And he came to Godspeed, and I mean, them and the Bohemia Hop guy, a bunch of them that were there, and you see their highs. It's kind of like all sparkling, and it's kind of like, okay, this is never seen. I would never think of this. So crazy enough, he tries the beer, because we did a virtual collab, because before they arrive, when they arrive in Toronto, I want the beer to be ready, because we also shipped the collaboration from Czech Republic. I don't know if you guys came to the event or not when Budvar was there. It was mind blown.
I wasn't there,
And we
I
had
think I lived in
two,
Montreal.
yeah.
Still.
So we hair ship like the collaboration from Czech Republic too, and
Oh, wow.
and we pour both. And Adam told me, like, very genuinely, he says, this is the best lager that I've ever had, like, in a long time. And he was just mind blown, and man, I was so happy. And then the craziest thing is, like, I went in December last year, and you know what they told me? We're gonna do the Godspeed technique at Budvar Brewery. So it was amazing. Like, the secretary, everybody, like, comes in the brew house at Budvar, because this is never seen techniques that they've done, and now we're trying new things. And even like the the assistant brewer, everybody's in the brewery just looking at what we're doing. He says, what the hell are you guys doing? So I was kind of for me to convince Budvar to make a 600 hectoliter batch of the Godspeed style boo, it's kind of I can almost die in peace now.
Oh man, that is so
you're
cool.
talking about 127, 128 years of history of that brewery, and they kind of like, they're gonna try this for the first
Switch it
time
up.
ever.
Damn,
So it's kind of
that's
fun,
legacy.
right? So
Yeah, man.
I don't know if I should reveal the technique or not, but
I would never
depends
push you
on
to do that.
if you have. I mean, it's nothing. It's it's nothing serious.
But it was a big deal for them to switch up the way that they approached the beer.
Yeah. Yeah, and they were to the point where they asked me, "Do you have the patent for this idea?" It's like they asked me if I had the patent to it, and it says, "No, I didn't go that way, but I don't know. Should I? I don't think so.
Like, is it possible to patent what you do, or is it
A process? I'm not sure. I have the trademark. I'm the only stupid guy enough to trademark a name, like Japanese names and Czech names that nobody will ever use.
I think it's smart.
Yeah, but I got the trademark of it anyways. So yeah.
Always, yeah.
Yeah.
We trademarked our name too. I think it's the smartest move you can do in this stuff.
You want to hear a crazy story?
Of course.
And this
Yes,
is kind
please.
of it's kind of nice to the viewers, the brewers. When I start to make Svetli Ležák, I decide to go for the trademark in Canada, and it's basically approved now. So it took a long time, and so I kind of I have the power. In the recent weeks, I kind of have the power to say to people that
C&D.
call their beer Svetli Ležák to not call it a Svetli Ležák. You know, am I going to do that? No, but if you really piss me off, maybe I will send you a letter. So people.
It's nice to have
be
that card to
me.
play.
I love that. Hey man, that's that power card right there. That's so dope. It's
That's
fascinating
crazy, yeah.
that you're able to do that too. I guess because it's a Czech word. You're trademarking a Czech word in Canada. It's
And it's a beer style, you know, it's kind of, I mean, it's not a beer style, but it's a beer style. Yeah, it was, you know, sometimes it's kind of like, why did I do this? Why did I go to the process of doing all this? But yeah, I don't know.
you can use
Now,
the,
if I have it, I mean, I can use it.
You can use it.
Or
I learned from our trademark
can
lawyer. Go on.
yeah, or I can sell it very expensive to Pilsner Urquell if they want to put Svetli Ležák on their can.
On their can. See, that's another thing. You could definitely do that. It's our trademark lawyer told me that there's a thing called the Berlin Protocol, and that means if you have the trademark approved in Canada, you can essentially like walk it through in the States. So like we have BAOS podcast is approved in Canada because somebody else had a similar name to us, and that pissed me off. So then I applied. It took 3 fucking years, but we got there. I got 2 other trademarks pending right now as well. But once it's approved, then they can do the Berlin Protocol, and then basically you get it in America if it exists, because having it in Canada is a very strong indicator that, hey, you already own this, and it's sort of, if you just applied in the States without having that, it's not as powerful. So it's almost like you're guaranteed. So if you're feeling frisky, you could even try and get it in the States if it's not taken already.
Yeah. I mean, my lawyer always asks me, right? And I say,
Do you want it? Do you want it? Yeah.
We sell such a small amount. I mean, it might change soon. I'm negotiating with a new importer now in the US, so
Amazing.
it might change a little bit, but you know, we're gonna keep it very focused and local, probably more like New York State and stuff. So I told myself, should I invest the money? And the thing is, like, trademark, as you know, it's not just about, you know, spending the original amount to get the trademark, but it's also protecting your trademark. That's what costs a lot more money. You know, ask Bellwoods, as the guys like Bellwoods and stuff. You know, it's kind of any brewery, like a Brooklyn brewery. I was talking to Garrett. I mean, you know, they have like full-time lawyers. There's people trying to replicate their logo all the time. You know, there's tens and tens and tens of examples. So they need to, and they're spending shitloads of money protecting their. So you know,
Never thought of that.
I'd rather focus, you know, my money on something a little bit more important. But if somebody really pisses me off, then maybe I'll
look into it.
Maybe I'll act. Let's see.
It's beautiful. Spite, the old spite trademark that we have there, Luke. I feel like it's It's a beautiful thing.
I
That
wonder what it would
reminded
take. I wonder what it would take to piss Bim off that much.
Yeah, I feel like you're the most chill dude ever. Like you're just so like mellow.
Yeah, you know what? I
You
think
don't have
I
to
am.
answer
I
that.
think I am.
I was just being funny.
Um, you probably didn't want to see me at the startup, right? And I knew my family's from construction, like my dad was, my uncles are, and I live in the construction world like all my life,
Mm.
and I know how incompetent people can be sometimes, and how, you
Tell
know,
me about it.
for me, when I opened Godspeed, honestly, it was at a point where if I don't open tomorrow, it's costing me an extra $3,000 to $5,000, and it's not funny, and especially when I blew my budget by $180,000 at the Godspeed when we
Damn.
opened. But so I was every morning like 6 o'clock opening the place, and I was the top guy. I was wearing the white hat, and we spent like almost $3 million in 6 months. It's kind of like
Damn.
it's pretty crazy. So and if the people don't show up, I never used it because I'm French Canadian, so I never used the F word before I did the startup of Godspeed. And when I did the startup, I was F wording like multiple times a day, and it's like, and every time that some of the trades were not taking pride in what they're doing, I was not shy to tell them, because
Good.
it's gonna cost me $5,000 tomorrow if you don't deliver. So I was not that smooth at that part. But when we opened, then I burst in tears and I became the smooth guy again, I guess.
Hey man, whatever brings you back there, but you got it done. I love it. The import stuff reminded me. So I believe my friend Will Cleveland in Rochester.
Of course.
Yes,
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
was
Will, yeah, great guy.
Will, and my other friend Jared, who's a brewer at Mortalis. I know they're both massive, massive fans of everything you're doing, and you were pouring at his Rochester. I think it was called the Real Beer Expo last summer, and they were
Yeah,
stoked
we were there, yeah.
to have you. So amped. So it's very cool because in Hamilton, I'm going to Buffalo in the morning. And it's so easy just to dip over there for the day, spend the day, go to all kinds of breweries, pick up some stuff, whatever. And I know how it's very cool for me to be here and then see my friends over the border get super excited about what you're doing. And Ontario beer in general, which is great, but on what you're doing. So it's very cool that you were... like you said, you mentioned like just doing stuff in New York. I think it's awesome. I go to a few bottle shops. So shouts to Brewed and Bottled. I'm going there in the morning too, and like they have a bunch of stuff from Ontario breweries all the time. It's sick, man. So what's the deal with your connection to New York there? What are you trying to do out there?
I mean, the connection in New York started a long time ago, right? In 2004, 2005 with Jude Seal. So we started... we made the connection with the Shelton brothers that used to be, one of the top importing company that unfortunately went down during COVID. So we started a really good relationship with them. And it's funny because Will Shelton, one of the three brothers, like randomly just texted me yesterday, and he wants to do a project with me. And now he lives in New Orleans. He's doing other stuff in his life, but we developed a really, really strong relationship. And obviously they had a really like a good portfolio and presence in New York City and New York State back in the days. So we end up making a lot of connections, a lot of people, bar owners, and et cetera. So it's just kind of like when I continue with Godspeed, it's some people don't forget, and okay, that's where you are, Luke, and they want to support. So when I launched Godspeed with Shelton in 18, I think. Yeah, we launched in Brooklyn at Beer Street, and
Nice.
and we had our beer at Tourist, Proletariat, like all these
Yes.
places. So we know that as long as there's beer, like these people is going to support, and they're gonna, and Rochester too. I mean, we went there last year. We did an event. We did a few events, and people are really excited about our beer. It's for me, it's a blessing. And that's why I still do this, honestly. To see people so happy about drinking my beer. But in the US right now, and it's the only thing now, it's about pricing, and especially the beers that I do. I make beer that you want to drink 1, 2, 3 pints of it, right? And if it's going to be priced at $15, then you might not go for a second pint or third pint.
Yeah.
So my importer right now that I'm dealing with, there's no middleman, like the 3-tier system in the United States that add a lot of costs and stuff. So I'm trying to avoid that. So I'm going to go with a importing company that you avoid all these costs, and to give a better chance to the customer to pay a reasonable price for our beer, to be competitive in the market. And for me, pricing, the way I price my beer justifies the survival of Godspeed. We're just we're 2,000 hectoliter brewery, with a lot of costs, a lot of expenses, and brewery, operating a brewery in Toronto is not cheap. So pricing justifies the survival of my business, and the raising my staff salaries and stuff like that, right? So I'm just in that negotiation there with the United States. If it's a small volume, I can maybe compromise a little bit, but yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, because there's excitement, in Buffalo too. I don't know if you know Mike Shachel. He used to own Tin Man that he sold recently.
Yes, to Community Beer Works. Yes, I just heard. Yeah.
Yeah. But Mike has, Mike's really excited about Godspeed. He's always been, and he will buy my beer all the time, and if the price is right, obviously, So because the thing I want, it's the same thing in Japan. I don't want to excite the consumer only once. I want to excite the consumers all the time. And at this point, pricing is everything, especially in the United States, right? There's so much high level of quality beers. There's so many. So so we're trying to. I'm negotiating that, and I try to keep local around New York. And if there's events and stuff, it's easy for us to just to go there and to support. So if it's in California, it's kind of I want to go to California as much as I can, but it's just a little far, and we don't want the beer to sit on shelves too, right? So we want the beer to move. So
no, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's great. That's really exciting I'm excited for them. It makes me happy when I walk into a store there and I know I've seen a bunch of Bellwoods in a lot of places, Blood Brothers, things like that, and then to Judas Yell. Yeah, definitely. And just seeing that and to see you guys in there, it makes me really happy for the consumers there. Look, to be fair, Luke, for real, I've said this on air a bunch, since I moved here, I've been to the States a bunch. We went to Miami for a month last year, and we've been traveling a whole lot. I really think Ontario, and kind of this comes back to what you said earlier, I think Ontario currently might just be the best sort of scene for beer, at least in North America, if not the world. I think it's exceptional. Wow. We have everything here at an elite level, and you are absolutely at the top of the crispy game on this. And I feel like that's it's we have Godspeed, motherfuckers. So what are you going to compete? Bring me your equivalent to that type. You know what I mean? I feel like we're, you're really contributing to. I feel proud as hell when I go into it. I'm like, yeah, man, I got cool. Impress me. Try and impress me, please, because what I have in my backyard is A1 top tier. It's It's amazing, man, and what you've done in a short time as well, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think that the thing that's really special, and it's kind of special in the industry in general, I guess. But in Ontario, I wish I knew all the brewers in Ontario, because I have a lot of very, very strong, people that I consider like friends, like real friends that are brewers, and we meet for beer, and we just like inspire each other so much, and I go back home inspired, and he goes back home inspired, and what inspiration does, right? It's just what and pushes you to be better and stuff. And I think we have that movement in Ontario with a lot of brewers, and there's some brewers that I don't know that much yet that I want to know so badly, and so I think we have that special thing happening where the exchange and the exchange of knowledge and inspiring each other that brought us to the next level, so it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of people that I can even think of off the top of my head if you don't know. We can talk about it off air, but there's a bunch of people that if you aren't connected with them, I feel like you get along. There's so many people that we talk to on the pod because we're very fortunate. We get to talk to people like you for many hours at a time. And there's just a lot of super intelligent, passionate, dedicated people in this province making phenomenal beer. Just want to keep having probably the same, exactly what you just said, like having those inspiring conversations with their fellow peers in the industry who are doing great shit, and just share information, work together or not, and just hang out and have good beers and just learn from each other. And it's a beautiful thing. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very grateful to be part of this industry. It's changing really fast and stuff, but I'm also kind of good at adapting, I guess. Like we've seen it during COVID too. It's like, okay, COVID hits. It's like, okay, all right, now I have a place that usually generates most of my revenues. It's shut down now. So what do I do? And just to not, I don't want to say reinvent yourself, but yeah, just like be fast on adapting and stuff. And for me, I keep the motivation, the inspiration level very high. So I feel like it's I don't want to say easy. It's not, easy is not the right word, but it's it's just like it's fun to just to adapt and to create like exciting things, exciting events. For us, Godspeed, we're all about that. There's one thing that kind of fooled me. Toronto kind of fooled me from when I started. I said, people will commit, people will come to Godspeed, and then I found out that okay, the city is very divided, like the east versus the west, and a lot of people say like from the west, yeah, I would want to go to Godspeed, but Stu is so far, and it says, what the hell is going on with you guys? I live in Tokyo. People it's normal to commute 2 hours a day here. It's like
right.
But all this said is kind of like, okay, now it's gonna create some events with a little bit extra spark that's gonna make people to commit to it. That's these kind of things too that I'm working on all the time. I don't take everything for granted. Say, God, whatever events we're going to do is going to be busy. No, there's a lot of thoughts behind them, and so these kind of
that
things.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's funny. My brother lives up the street from you. I know you know him, and if I'm because I'm in Hamilton, so if I'm in the West End, and then I checked Waze, and it's like 40 to 45 minutes to get to the other side of the city, because I'm like, I'm not coming out east. I'm in the west. I got to go back home, bro, because if I got to drive already an hour minimum in Toronto traffic and QEW traffic to get home, if I got to do 45 minutes to get to the east and then another 45 minutes and then another hour, like I might as well drive to Montreal at this point. It's something that I didn't realize how crazy it was. Obviously, I spent a lot of time in Toronto since I lived in Canada, but like, fucking hell, it is kind of crazy. So whilst I understand what you're saying, I feel like Toronto is it's not like Montreal where you could be like in Old Port and get to NDG in 10, 15 minutes. Like it's not gonna be the same in Toronto. And my brother almost like doesn't, because he doesn't drive. Like he doesn't believe me. He thinks I'm being ridiculous. I'm like sending him screenshots of like the maps. I'm telling you, I'm not joking. Yeah. So it does suck. I wish Toronto wasn't so good. And then I heard they're closing down one lane of the Gardner for like 3 to 25 years or however long it takes. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you know the good thing about that though, and I saw it during COVID. For me, I have my list that I don't know if you have that list to do, that things that you never do, and you just push it and push it and push it. And the
Absolutely.
one thing I had on my list is kind of like open an online store,
Yes.
and I had that since like 2018, and then obviously when COVID came, said, okay, now I have no choice. But the good thing that came out of that is we had a lot of success on the west end of Toronto, because a lot of them says, Godspeed's too far to commit, but now I can get my beer. Now I can get my beer at the door.
Yeah.
So a bad thing for a good thing.
Works out good, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The online store is awesome.
When that launched, I placed an order the same day. I get some Godspeed out in Ottawa. Oh my God, I was so excited.
It's such a good look, man.
Well, you saved our lives, man. Thank you.
It's great that you got around to doing that, for sure. And it's almost like ridiculous that you're saying that, and I know even what I just said before is ridiculous, like that people on Ossington don't want to go to Coxwell, like, because that's how crazy Toronto is. But like, if that's what it takes, I mean, I feel like the thing is, if there's an event or there's like, hey, no, I'm going to Godspeed and I'm going to be there for a bunch of hours, and that's fine. It's not a big deal. But I feel like people want to zip. I think the only people who would be deterred would be the people who just want to have a quick beer or something, because it's not so quick when you have to. And that's like me in a car. It's probably the same amount on public transport. I don't know. But it's great. The shipping is amazing, and it's one thing that, as probably maybe you've forgotten, Bim, because you've been here a while, but I only moved a couple, like 18 months ago. We couldn't do that in Quebec for the longest time. Like, there's no, and to now, there's still no shipping to this date.
Yeah, you still can't.
You still can't do it. And it was one of the coolest things that I loved about Ontario, that I was desperately jealous that you couldn't do that. So it's amazing that there's people in Thunder Bay or whatever that can go and get Godspeed, and Ottawa, and like Barrie, here in Hamilton, no matter where. Also, the independent bottle stores are really cool. I know my one here, Durand, has you guys all the time.
Durand, yeah.
Yeah, that's my main store, and he helped me a lot with moving here and choosing a neighborhood and stuff like that. And I go there every week, and I think I told him, I'm like, when I first moved here, he didn't have you, and I was like, "Where's your Godspeed?" And I hope that I influenced him to continue to purchase, because I wanted to be able to see it there, to be able to grab a few cans, that I needed, and if I'm not getting to Toronto, so it's the independent. Have the independent bottle shops been a good driver for you?
Yeah, pretty good actually. Yeah, and some of our accounts that we already had, that now with the new laws, they can have their little bottle shop, so that's a little extra. They're selling cans to go, and so I mean, it's been great, not complaining. And now they're thinking like there's going to be like the new laws too now, that
convenience,
like a dépanneur can have the convenience store can have beer stuff. I hope it's a good thing for us. So we'll see.
That one's going to be interesting. I've asked a few people about that, and I feel like it's going to be, because obviously in Quebec it's normal and you see it everywhere. But here, because it's new and there isn't the distribution companies like in Quebec that exist. So now there's going to have to be new companies of distribution, or direct relationships with salespeople at every brewery, with every convenience store in the province that sells beer, which is going to be a whole other logistical thing. And then whether that convenience store knows how to handle craft beer properly, as in like, always keep it in that cooler fridge, keep the cases there, stacked, don't leave that shit just sitting on the floor, like things like that. I think there's some challenges, but I think overall it's overwhelmingly positive. for more sales avenues when alcohol is overly taxed and overly regulated. Like, even the fact that if someone in Vancouver wants to buy Godspeed, why on earth can't you send it there? It makes no sense. Because in the States, you can do that depending, but there has to be different tax agreements or whatever. Sure, cool. So
and
figure that out.
State-to-state relationships and all that nonsense.
Yeah, and that's why, because I got a little address in upstate in Buffalo, well, in Lewiston, New York. So I'm going there tomorrow to not even pick up beer. I'm picking up like it's cheaper to ship clothes and stuff there. And from what I could understand is that so many breweries don't ship to New York State because I think it's a complicated state to ship to because of the taxes. So like I'm like, oh, I'd love to try that brewery, and then I check, I'm like, oh, they ship everywhere but New York. So either way, though, it seems like that could be something, but it's something that maybe the government isn't prioritizing out here to allow breweries those extra revenue streams. But it's crazy.
Yeah, like I mean, for me, the most shocking is sending to Quebec. It's they pick up. Actually, we got an order that got picked up yesterday, and I refused to sell to Quebec for a long time because it's operated by SAQ. SAQ has the monopoly on everything. They decide whatever they want, and unfortunately, they don't care. They don't care about beer, so they can sometimes they want, they're going to release the beer 2 months, 3 months later. Not sitting in a not even cold room.
Totally. The warm warehouse shelves.
It's kind of like, come on, guys. It's kind of. I send a pallet at 6. Yeah, I'll send a pallet at the same time to Quebec and one to Japan, and the beer's going to be better quality in Japan and released before. The one that took like 5 hours to get into the warehouse of the SAQ is just like, I mean, why?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's so crazy.
Yeah, Quebec is the worst, actually, unfortunately, in all the provinces.
And even like just the no shipping. What if you're in Montreal and you want some Orval or whatever? Like, you can't do that unless they decide to sell it to a store, but you can't order it there, which is crazy. It's just, it's so silly. And then what you're talking about. Yeah, they used to call it here the LCBO aging program, and I guess it's the same thing, the SAQ, and there's no way to go around it. There's no like...
And it almost seems like it's even worse than the LCBO.
From what I hear. It's just so silly, man.
Quebec, you mean?
Yes.
Oh yeah, Quebec is worse than LCBO. LCBO is great compared to Quebec.
Yeah,
I think. Sorry, SAQ.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah. Well, it's like as a consumer who lived in Montreal for 10 years, like I was seeing all the people out here I was here like every month, so it wasn't the biggest deal for me. But like for people who weren't, I was just like, man, look, we just get screwed for all the, you go to a typical SAQ, they've got 8 different beers available or something. Like, it's so pointless. They just don't even care about it. And then you have to go to a specialty beer store, and then there's just so many like rules around everything, and like we could never get anything. I remember one time there was a Bellwoods tap takeover at Vice Versa in like a January in like 2017. I was like, yo, like this is amazing, because we never get anything. No one from Ontario ever came to Montreal or to Quebec at all. So it was like, that's Montreal. Imagine if you're in Gatineau or Quebec City or somewhere else, like you're not getting shit. And it just kind of like, there's a lot of incredible beer in Quebec, but it just sucked to not have that, because I knew a lot of Quebec breweries went to Ontario to do tap takeovers and collabs, and maybe like Judiciaire would put something in the LCBO or something like that. Like it just like always felt like we got screwed. That's why I get it.
Well,
right,
in LCBO,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, we don't have to talk about these things.
The LCBO. Next beer. Nate was going to say next beer.
I was going to say next beer, and what I was going to say is I want to get to the porter. Like that's a priority for me. Like for me tonight, I definitely want to do the porter.
Yes.
So I guess the question is, are we doing one more before that, or do we want to do the porter now?
What do you think? Luke?
So what do we have? What do we have left, guys? We have Ikinuki, we have Kemuri, and we have Irori, right? I think there's 3 left.
Correct. Exactly right.
Yeah, if you want, Nathan, you want to go to Porter? I think we finish with Irori, obviously.
Okay.
The peated Scotch Lager. So either Porter or Ikinuki is fine. Now it doesn't matter
All right.
to me.
Okay, why
Let's
don't
go
we
to
do
Porter.
the
You want
why don't
Porter?
we do the porter then, and we can finish with Iori?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Perfect. I think I need the bathroom again.
Yeah, I think I do too, actually.
So let's, you know what? Maybe we just pause that now while Luke's getting the beer, and we'll be back
let's do it.
in a second. All right, we'll be back.
All right,
We are back, y'all. Now,
we're back.
Porter time, switching it up. There she is.
Yes, indeed.
Gorgeous artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see, there's a little guy smoking there. So Kemuri
Yeah.
also means smoke, and it's inspired by 20 years ago when I first came in Japan. I end up living in this old 150-year-old a silk farm in the mountains.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, I'm a very lucky person. Just taking walks in the mountain, and you see these old stone kind of ovens that used to abandoned, and they're hundreds of years old, and they used to be they used it to do the charcoal, the charcoal sticks.
Yes.
To do tea ceremony and stuff like that in Japan, and for me, that was the whole idea. I want that little oven in the mountain, kind of making the charcoal sticks yeah. So it was kind of hard to try to reproduce on a label. I was talking to my graphic designer about it, and it took a few. It took about 4 times, I think. That label changed about 4 times. Yeah.
Oh no shit.
Anyways,
It's very cool.
Yeah.
It looks cozy and warm and inviting, just like the beer.
Yeah.
Which, as it's a Godspeed style porter, as you said, so it's smoked. It's 4.8%.
yeah, it's a little. It might have a little bit more smoke character than the Ibushi, obviously, but it's interesting because for me, smoke porter, my inspiration for smoke porter is very simple. It's Alaskan smoke porter, right?
Oh,
Alaska,
who from?
yeah, Alaskan, yeah. In Alaska? It's Alaskan brewery, right?
Oh, like Anchorage?
Alaskan smoke porter.
Alaskan
Is it Anchorage? Alaskan smoke porter, maybe
Let me
it's
check.
Anchorage. No, yeah. I mean it's
Oh,
a
that's
really
delicious.
old school beer, and for me at that point, I only tried the smoke beers from Europe, from Bamberg, and then I got the Alaskan smoke porter, and
It's
I say,
Alaskan
okay,
Brewing Co.
this is-
You're right.
Yeah, Alaskan Brewing, and I said, okay, this is the shit. It's crazy. I mean, amazing. They smoke the malt over their
Is that it?
fish smoker. Yeah,
That's it?
that's the one. So for me, that was the. I mean, and we're talking 20 something years ago. It's okay, the day I'm going to do a smoke porter. I mean, this is the inspiration, but for me, Godspeed. I want to have the drinkability side of it and the lower ABV because Alaskan is 6 point something, I think 6 point something
I think
percent,
6.5.
and yeah, 6.5. So for me, I want to make something under 5 and having a high drinkability, and obviously the smoke is not as intense, but
No.
it's that beer that made me want to do a smoke porter. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's great context. So this is delicious. So the smoke is definitely quite present, but it's once again just like what we had earlier. It was very understated, and balance is probably the best word. It's balanced with the rest of I'm getting that bitter dark chocolate or cacao kind of vibe, a touch of coffee, espresso, and then that smoke kind of in the background. and it all just kind of blends together, super creamy and tons of flavor for, was it 4.8? Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, 4.8. Yeah.
Yeah, what I
Yeah,
find with this is that like even though it is more smoke than the Ibushi, it like with this style, it blends so well with those other flavor characteristics that
Yes.
like that you were just mentioning there, that like it does not it doesn't even really stand out as that much more intense smoke. Like it still strikes subtle, and it just goes so well with it that like it doesn't like the smoke does not feel out of place or or really in your face at all. It just like it really works well with it. I think with that whole like with the roasted malt vibe, like it fits. It really does.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, earlier that's what I said. Like that's the beer that Yvon de Bet kind of like said. Okay, we'll put some smoked malt in our collaboration when he tried that beer, and yeah, obviously for me too, it's all about balance, and I don't like not that I don't I don't want to say that I dislike them. I cannot drink a lot of them. It's very interesting, like the like the pastry stouts and all, like the sweet stouts and stuff. But for me, it's if I create a stout, it's all it's I don't want sweetness too much. I want balance. I want some kind of residual sweetness, but very light. Some chocolate, a good roast. The smoke is there, and the one thing that's very important for me is the level of acidity of the beer.
Mm.
I'm a fan. I mean, you like it or not, I'm a fan of Guinness. I love Guinness. I think Guinness is brilliant in the fact that it's like they've been using like a sour malt to drop to drop the pH a little bit in there. That for me, I don't know, when you sip Kemuri, you have that little kind of like lingering taste, like that's come from a slightly lower pH that I think that
Yeah.
gives a lot of extra like drinkability. I mean, in my opinion. So
You just got me.
that's the beer.
You just got me thinking of something. The nitro stout that you've done a couple times before, is it Kuro? I think it's called. Or
Yeah,
I'm probably
Kuro.
pronouncing
Yeah,
it wrong.
Kuro.
Oh
Yeah,
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 yeah.
Kuro.
So does that have a similar like a similar like sour like kind of thing to it?
Approach to Guinness. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a different
Okay.
beer. I mean, there's more roast character than
Mm.
Guinness, but
Hmm.
I mean, honestly, Guinness is the inspiration behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I figured as
Yeah.
much, and that's a spectacular beer. I love that beer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kuro.
thank
I think
you.
I've had that.
There's I would do it all the time. There's just a
Oh
challenge
yeah.
with nitro beers, for me, and I don't, we're still doing mobile canning after 7 years,
Hmm.
and you don't have your own setup, and I mean they're great, but and the thing too, the way that nitro, to dissolve nitrogen in beer takes more pressure, and your tanks are not necessarily rated for it, and you might have to go overboard a little bit, and then you drop that little nitrogen liquid drop from the packaging. And when the first time we did Kudo, it was with a different company that I'm using now, because I went through two different companies for canning, and I was the first person to can, and we realized that some cans, like some cans exploded, and then said, what the hell has happened? And then we figured out that okay, some cans got 2 drops of nitrogen instead of supposed to be 1.
Oh.
I mean, I was freaking out. We got like lab tests on the beers and stuff. It's okay, like the beer's not and so we found out, like, I went to the canning company, so they put a camera on the next place they go, and they found out that sometimes it does two drops, and it makes the can like so fucking stiff that
Jeez.
it might. And if you leave it outside the fridge, then obviously volumes expands even more, and then boom. So I said, oh god, that's scary. So until we can really nail it, it's scary.
Jeez, it's like smoothies. Damn, I never heard of that.
Yeah.
Basically, right? I never saw. I never heard of a nitro beer having that reaction. That's crazy, and I only saw it probably last week. The drop. I know exactly what you're talking about. I saw someone posted a video of how they do it. I was like, oh, so 2 drops is too much. So 1 drop is
I
all you
didn't
need.
know it's too much. Oh yeah, well yeah, definitely. Yeah. People don't talk about these things, So
No, never. Everyone just talks shit about smoothies. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
Hate it.
What did they say? Time ticking bombs or
Tipping?
some breweries like put that on their
Yep, and a lot of breweries won't ship smoothie beers because of the weather changing. So like, even, say if it's in the summer, it's hot, and heat typically ruins it, or I guess, or if it's too cold, and the post office keeps it in a van that's not insulated when it's shipping, then potentially it could go then. I've had
playing with fire at that point.
I've had very, very little issues personally. I've had many other styles explode. But,
I'm gonna plug one of my friends' brewery in Toronto, and kudos for them to invest some money into equipment. It's Bellwoods that are investing in a pasteurizer.
Nice.
Because when you're doing those kind of beer, and now it's funny because the non-alkalized beer now have trend, and now you see a lot of articles saying, okay, non-alkalized beer can be dangerous too, because it's a easier source of contamination, and I know the Bellwood guys, like, okay, they jump into it, but they pasteurize the beer. As much as we don't like that word, pasteurization, I mean, it's the way to go if you make those style of beer, and if you make like those smoothie beers and stuff, and is the way to go. I mean, I'm 100% for it in that case. So it makes things safe, So
Yep.
So,
our friend Sean of Small Pony, who's big on sour beers, was his thing from the start when he started doing it was not with a full on pasteurizer, but kind of like a quick pasteurization technique. I forget what exactly it was. I know it was discussed the last time we had him on the pod, but that was a big thing that he that he was doing with his smoothies back in the day, and I assume he still is. Yeah, exactly.
Like, it wasn't a proper pasteurizer.
It might be like there's some people that have you can have the option of can you guys still hear me?
Yeah. You're good.
Yeah, okay. Hopefully my AirPods are not going down. It should be fine. If not, I'm just going to jump on.
You can switch them over. It'll be fine.
Yeah. God, what I was going to say.
We're talking about the pasteurizer and the smoothie beers. And
stuff. Yeah. So some tanks, like you can have the choice of putting glycol into it or putting, hot water heating. So you can kind of heat it, kind of like thermal pasteurization a little bit. So maybe like that's what he's doing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
this is a cheaper way to do it because a pasteurizer.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
The cheapest pasteurizer on the market is very expensive. So,
do you need to do that to any of your products, or it's not really necessary?
I don't do any pasteurization at all, but we have like the 1.5% like baby's Vetley, that we do like the 1.5. I've never jumped into the non-alkalized beers. We do the iced teas though. We do the non-alkalized iced teas.
Oh
yeah.
And, no, you did a seltzer. There was like a green tea.
Oh yeah.
5% seltzer. I really like that. That was great.
No, that was a 2% seltzer. It's kind of like, that's me, right? I say, okay, everybody does 5 or do 0. So I said, I'm gonna try to stand in the between and see how that goes. Man, that was terrible.
I felt like if anyone was going to do it, it would be you with integrity, because I think you use that cool green tea that you use for the Ochime.
Yeah. The green tea. I mean. And it's really nice. I wanted to challenge myself. It's funny. It came from a night drinking with Ian McAustra from Amsterdam. Really good friend of mine, Ian. I love him so much. And it's kind of like, before the evenings, like for me, it's like fuck seltzer, and after, and at the end of the evening, it's like, oh, you know what? I think I'm gonna challenge myself, dude, making a seltzer. You
Why
give me
not?
good points on it, and I say, yeah, I'm gonna challenge myself doing it, and but I fermented with Cali yeast, and yeah, it's kind of fun. I thought it was really nice. I thought it was really good, but I mean, it was selling poorly. Like, thank God there's nothing to oxidize in there, but it took us like a year to sell the batch. Yeah, it's crazy.
Gotcha. So you might not do that again.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. But the the non-alcoholic tea. Um,
Yeah.
what can you describe what that is again? I think I've had them. What are they called?
Well, they're called like depending on the country that I choose. I'll choose a tea and an ingredient from a country. So sencha is like
Okay.
the name is sencha, so it's Japanese green tea, and yuzu. I got jasmine, which is
The Chinese or that.
jasmine, Chinese with peach. I
Nice.
did Indian Assam with Assam tea and mango. I did South Korea with hibiscus. So yeah,
That's
it's all
dope.
depends. And I just want to create something. When I've spent so much time in Asia, and iced teas here are not sweet, and I love that. And like in North America, version of iced teas is like sweet and all the time. So I want to do something to show people like, okay, this is how it's done here in Asia, kind of thing. So
That's
yeah,
dope. That's great.
it's fun, man. People are really excited about it. It's kind of fun. It's a little side Godspeed thing, but it works pretty well.
And it's on brand because you already got the green tea IPA and
Yeah,
the I feel like one thing I've noticed is obviously there's a push towards, obviously you did the seltzer to try something different. Like, not everyone is drinking beer. So a brewery is definitely good to have some sort of non-alcoholic option, whether it's a non-alcoholic beer or something like that, and that is super interesting because
Yeah.
I don't know, Tiff and I drink them every week, either non-alcoholic beers or like the flavored carbonated waters. Whether it's there's a bunch of breweries that do some really fun ones because it allows you to support a brewery over and above the beer.
Whether it's
And
hop water
yeah,
or non-alc seltzer or whatever.
exactly. Yeah, we've got all the above. Collective Arts have their little botany joints, and Bellwoods have the sparkly water, and then NA stuff, and a lot of different,
And
Fine
Dominion,
Balance have this one.
Dominion
Dominion
City's,
City Seltzer.
yeah, Dominion City's got city seltzer, and like a bunch of folks have
Mm.
hop waters, and
Yeah, it's fun,
I
and
mean,
I think it's your unique way to enter that market.
yeah, I mean, Dominion City is doing a good. I mean, it seems like it's a business by itself, right? I mean, they've
yeah.
got
Correct.
the branded trucks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
cool what they achieve. It's good on them
Oh, it's
to
brilliant.
do
It's
that.
brilliant.
Would you
Yeah.
be interested in taking the tea side, like that we're talking about, further for Godspeed, or do you think it's just kind of like a little small thing that you just sort of sprinkle in here and there?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just a small thing. We have very consistent clients, licensees buying it. Obviously, it's kind of skies rock like in the spring right now,
Yeah,
and then in winter it's kind of like
bit slow.
stalls a little bit,
Yeah.
right? In summertime, everybody wants to drink iced teas, and so yeah, the thing is the nice thing about the iced, all my beers take so long to make, most of them, and it's kind of nice with the iced teas because I say, okay, I we just do the timing properly. I can have a bright tank available for one day. I brew the tea, and it's packaged the next day. It takes one day to do. It doesn't,
Wow.
I could make it in the morning and package it in the afternoon if I want. So that's something very unusual for Godspeed, to be able to do that. And so when I time it right, I don't have like a specific tanks designated for the iced teas yet. If it comes to a point where I have to, then maybe. But I'm just trying to stick them in between, like
Other
between a beer
stuff.
transfer or something. And so yeah, so that's how I do. Honestly, if it would go like crazy, I mean, I'm not a very strong believer in the contracting stuff and stuff. But this is something that I could maybe look into it in the future if ever the brand would skyrocket, and then I could pasteurize it too, because I don't pasteurize them. There's not a lot of chance of spoilage and stuff like that. But just to be like extra safe. So I mean, we'll see. But right now it's just a fun little project, and
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, bro, I never thought of this until now. Is it ever interesting to you to contract brew Godspeed beers in Japan or Europe or any other market that you're in? I imagine the way you're looking, you've thought of this. Like, is that something, knowing you, what I know about you, is probably, you need more control than that, particularly for the style of beers?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I don't say no to it. Like now with my importers in Japan, like we're talking on some possible like project. If it's accepted, then it would probably mean a lot of beer. And then at that point, what makes more sense, But at the same time, ingredients cost more here in Japan. The only thing that would be cheaper is the yuzu. For example, if I do like the yuzu beer, because it would be the beer that if we're gonna push one brand right now would probably be yuzu in Japan. But ingredients is expensive. Beer tax are super expensive in Japan. So we're at the point that it doesn't make sense to brew it here. Cost wise, it might not, it might a little bit. So I'm looking into this right now. Okay. And if I do brew here, then I'm gonna brew at my friend's brewery that we're gonna agree on something, and I'm gonna be brewing every single batch of beer. Gotcha. Yeah, so that if I do contract brewery, it's gonna be that way. Yeah,
that makes much more sense. What if I'm just throwing, I don't know, just curious to see if it works. What about a nearby country that has, say, like, I don't know whether it's Korea or something, or China, like where you would have the like lower taxes and cheaper ingredients, and then a shorter journey, because obviously coming from Toronto all the way through, I imagine it's on a ship, not on a plane. So it's like coming all the ship through fucking across Canada and then up through the Pacific or whatever. Like, is there something you could do in Asia and brew there and then bring it to Japan?
Perhaps, perhaps. I need to see. I don't know. I'm having a lot more friends now in Asia, in Taiwan, and in Korea, even in China, in the craft beer industry. So it's something that I have not talked about yet. But hey, who knows? I want to keep things fun too, right? And it justifies the traveling. I always say. So
business. It's all around.
And it's great. Yeah, it's great because like I'm turning 50 years old in a few months, and 50. God,
50 is like that must be crazy.
Yeah, I'm just flying to my friend's place in Busan in South Korea in June, and it's an hour 25-minute flight. It's amazing. So it's super close, right? I love Thailand. I love Southeast Asia, and I'm so close to it now. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, man.
I need to explore a little bit more of the opportunities and stuff, but
learn a little bit
let's
more.
See.
It sounds like it's pretty cool. Like, okay, so then on that note, would you ever consider opening another location of Godspeed in Japan or elsewhere in Asia?
I don't think I would open a Godspeed brewery anywhere else in the world.
Okay. Why is that?
Maybe a little tap room. I don't know, man.
Too much hassle?
You're seeing those wrinkles and those gray hair. I mean, obviously, I'm turning 50, but I mean, there was a lot of stress in the last 10 years opening. I'm kind of joking at opening 2 breweries in 2 different countries, almost. Like in 2015 when I I knew a little bit about Toronto, but not that much. We got in, me and my wife, out of the plane from Japan with 4 suitcases, 3 days at the hotel. I didn't know much about it, right? And now I don't know, man. I feel like no. I'd rather spending my time helping people making better beer and doing some consulting stuff instead. And yeah,
that makes sense. And like,
Yeah.
I guess you can
Yeah.
still, there's something kind of like cool and special about the imported stuff as well. Like the experience of being from Japan or living in Japan, and then, whoa, there's this cool brewery in Toronto that already has Japanese writing on the can and like has a strong connection here. Like, it's like, it kind of keeps that specialness, which isn't that the ethos of craft beer? Is that it is special, it is small
Yeah.
batch, it is thoughtful and time invested into the thing. So I mean, like, I get it.
Yeah, we're also it's kind of interesting because in Japan now, like people like some beer bars. I'm very self-stated here. I mean, and thank you, Japan. But when people say, "Oh, Luke is in town, we should do a tap takeover and stuff," but there's most of people don't even know that I live here now, so they want to take the advantage. Like, Luke is in town, let's do an event. But it's kind of funny, and my importer kind of keeps it kind of like low profile because it's kind of attracting. Oh, Luke is in town, so let's do something.
Let's do something, right?
But but once they all find out, I don't know. Is it going to be as much attracting anymore? I don't know.
I see what you're saying. That's smart though. Do you import kegs as well as the cans? So the
Oh yeah. Keg is huge. Yeah, keg is the market right now in Japan.
Dope.
I used to sell more cans, and now it's just like, we're doing 80 kegs every 3 months, and it's not enough. I mean, we sell out after a month and a half. We're almost sold out, and so we're just my importers are very, very smart people, and we're just taking it a step at a time, and so yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'm happy. Whatever. I did not build Godspeed. In my business plan, I said, like, I want to be this neighborhood brew pub with an international reputation. Basically, I want to continue the success of Jude Ciel, but the way that I planned everything is like, I'm not gonna the survival of my business it's not gonna be LCBO, it's not gonna be export, it's not gonna it's gonna be the pub, and it's gonna be local. So I mean, I'm excited about export and stuff, but I try to keep it as minimal as possible, and with a meaning also.
Right.
I like to do meaningful things. So
that makes sense. Not just for the dollar. Like, you want to actually,
I mean, it's not about the dollar. I mean, sending beer to export, I don't make money out of that. If my brewery would turn all to export, Godspeed probably close by the end of the year.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
I can see that not being a money making operation.
No, not at all.
It's more just cool.
Not at all. So the breweries that you see that focus on export, like, you can bet that there are a problem. I mean, probably.
Interesting.
Most of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. In 2024, the further you send the beer from your brewery or your tap room, the less money you make. That's just it.
That's pretty intuitive. It's like I can see it being a kind of thing that is fun to do, and and is just that's just it. It's fun to do, but it's not a business model by any means.
Yeah.
No, I do it for fun. It's great to have my beers in Japan. It's fun to have my beers in my previous importer in the US. I have my beers in Chicago. I have my beers in New York City, and I got friends, randomly going there. They didn't know, and they just texting me. They're in this pub in New York City drinking Godspeed. It's a nice thing, but I keep it, like, my export amounts are less than 5% of my overall production. So
right.
Yeah.
5%. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense, man.
Yeah.
It was more, I guess the questions more come obviously just because you're based there, and it kind of feels like, do you want to have more product on the ground so that you can do more there, or really, from what it sounds like, you're cool with just what you've got going on, and then you can run the business from afar, keep everybody going, and then look at all these other different opportunities that that you have, which is really cool.
Yeah. The one thing that's not cool is I miss brewing a lot. So, if I could brew more, actually, not that I want to plug anything in this podcast, but I'm going to be brewing a lot of beer in Japan in the next weeks, in the next months. I'm planning a very cool project, with Japanese breweries. So, keep your eyes open, guys.
Okay.
It's gonna be fun. I'm traveling. I'm flying to Toronto on April 15, and before that, I'm gonna be traveling all around Japan to brew some beers. Yeah,
That's awesome. This episode will come out just after. This will come out on April 17th, I think. So it'll come out while you're in Toronto. So is there anything you can say, knowing that when this comes out, or that doesn't change anything? No.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see through the social media. We start Max is really good at sending a bit of teasers.
Nice.
And so you'll see this one. I'll. But there's another one I can say. We're doing a Quebec event every year called Je me souviens. Je me souviens. It's it's written on it's written on the plates. So every year we've been doing a Je me souviens event.
You had Hildegard, and all these different beers in the brewery. When I went last time, actually, you had all that. It was wicked.
Yeah, and this year it's pretty cool. Like I say, I've been, for me, I'm like I say, I try to do things with a meaning, things that means a lot to me, and things that inspired me in the past. So we're doing a exclusive Unibrew event at Godspeed. So nice. Unibrew is taking the taps at Godspeed for Je me souviens this year. So we're gonna have a bunch of Unibrew beer that you've never seen on tap in Ontario and even in Quebec. And for me, when I started on brewing in 1991, and Unibrew opened in 1991, and I think I'm probably in the first 100 clients that bought a 6-pack of Blanche de Chambly when they opened. And
that's awesome.
It's been such an inspiration for me. I was brewing a lot of Belgian beers at the beginning, and JF at Ciel was also into Belgian beers, and Unibrew has been a huge influence on my career. And I just, like I say, if you don't ask, you never know, right? So I asked them, what do you think about doing an event? And, because now they're owned by Sapporo, and, it's things take time, right? It's not just like Godspeed. We do a collaboration. I'm the one deciding, but they have a whole team, and they need to plan things in advance, and they just accept the project. So we're going to have at the end of April, and I'm going to be in Toronto too. So the last weekend of April, if you're around. If you're excited about those old school beers, like Unibrew, so we're gonna have some Unibrew and some, some Quebec kind of inspired dish made by Verst and stuff. So it should be fun.
That's dope. That's very cool, man.
Yeah.
I love that. How long are you in Toronto for when you're coming down?
April 15th. Till May 3rd, so it's pretty short time, like 2.5 weeks.
I'll come see you. I'll chat you off there. We'll figure it out, but I want to come see you.
Let me know.
Yeah, man, that would be amazing. Do we want to hit this final beer?
Yep, I think it's time.
The Irori, yeah, exactly. Yes. Right. You guys are probably yawning now. I mean, I'm ready to have lunch. Yeah.
Well, not me. I have been a little bit. That's mostly due to the fact that I have a not quite 2-year-old son, and I don't get much sleep these days. But that's just is what it is.
I'm a night owl. This is nothing to me. I'm gonna have a coffee next. Yeah. Maybe not tonight. I'm joking. All right. So this one, I am a psycho.
Yeah. Man, this beer is so special, guys. It's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm having goosebumps right now.
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, let me see
So
if I have this.
let's start with the name. So Irori is it's those underground kind of like a fire pit in the houses in Japan, where
Okay.
it's kind of like the central room in the house, and where you cook food or where you do like a tea ceremony and stuff like that. So
Mm.
that's what Irori means. Um, yeah, and I don't know if you can see on the side of the can like the history of it. It's a very special beer for me.
I was just reading it here. So it's a tribute to Greg Noonan from the
Yeah,
Vermont Pub and Brewery.
yeah, like Greg Noonan was probably was one of the most humble person that I met in my life in the brewing industry, and um, he should have got so much credit, but he was not really. He's kind of like the Charlie Papazian that's never been kind of thing.
Right.
He wrote some of the best beer books. He was he was he's been my mentor for, and not just me, and like even like a JF us at GCL back in the days. Because we used to do so many trips to Burlington, Vermont, and
Of course. Yeah.
Greg Greg taught me how to smoke malt. Greg taught us how to do sour mash, before the sour kettle even existed.
Oh wow.
And then, he should be credited for the being probably the first person to do sour kettle in North America. But nobody talked about that. He's the guy that invented the black IPA, the Cascadian dark, Cascadian
Invented it?
dark ale.
Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He's
Oh
the
wow.
creator of it, but nobody talks about that. And I got, where is it? Right here. Look at that. And this book here. So the new brewing lager beer. I mean, with all the beer brewing books that have been written in the history of beer, I mean, this is still. I think I have 15 beer books that I kept in my life, and this is one of them. That it's just a masterpiece. He wrote it.
Okay.
So, and unfortunately he passed away in it's crazy. He passed away in 2010. We were supposed to do a trip in Burlington, and his partner Steve kind of said, okay, you should hold, and he's not doing well. So he died of lung cancer, and he kept it
Yeah.
secret from everybody. He's told his staff like a week or two before he passed away. And I used to go, to Burlington. We stay at his house, and we're gonna drink a High whiskey, like a peated whiskey in front of the fireplace. He used to have a beautiful house in front of the Lake Champlain stuff. So it's basically one beer, and he wrote the Scotch Ale book also in the classic series. So it's a one beer. It's everything from Greg Noonan that inspired me in all my life into one can of beer.
Huh.
And when I did it, I pushed things even further. I contact his family, his brothers, and his family, and I ask permission to kind of do a, to do a. You still hear me?
Yeah, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Hasn't cut out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I asked the permission to, if it was possible, to do a collaboration. It sounds really hippie, but with a spirit kind of thing. And they all accepted, and this is kind of like the can. For me, it's kind of like the image of me sitting with Greg, beside the fire pit, and at dark at night, and a little bit of his aura in there. It's kind of like, yeah. That's what it is.
That's great, man.
Yeah, very very emotional beer.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And so it's
So
that's an amazing story. Thank you for telling that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's
yeah, please.
so it's essentially like a combination then of like a Scotch ale lager and then the smoked side.
Yeah,
Is that accurate?
exactly. So I brewed it kind of like as a Scotch ale approach. and I put shitloads of peat malt in there because Greg was a huge fan of peated, like really peated whiskey. So I say, I'm gonna do something different with this one, where all the other smoke beers from Godspeed is very subtle. This one, I say, I'm going full on.
Full campfire.
It's basically So basically think about having a Scotch ale with a shot of Islay whiskey that you just drop in it. Basically, that's
right.
That's kind of like
that's the vibe.
The way you have to look at it. But fermented with a lager yeast, because Greg was all about lagers too. So, yeah. So that's what it is. It's pretty intense. It's unique. It's one time a year. I just had the other day, my friend from a craft beer bar in Tokyo. Yeah, he had a can of the first version I made 5 years ago, and it was still tasting amazing. So you can age that beer like a long time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and it's and you bring up that point, and it's something that's easy to miss just on tasting it, but it's 8% this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't taste. It does not taste 8%.
It tastes like 5.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about most of Godspeed beers. It's kind of a little like the high ABV. I don't like when it tastes too much like alcohol. Like the high fusels and stuff. So trying to do everything really, really clean. But this beer, I like it now, but I'm gonna like it even better in 6 months. Like the peat is very intense, very in your face. And it's the beauty with most of the smoke beer, it kind of rounds itself with time, and it just blends perfectly in the recipe. So I think it's going to be even better in 6 months from now.
You know what? I actually think I have a can of this in my beer fridge that's probably been there for 2 to 4 years, something like that. So that means that one's probably drinking money right now.
Yeah, you can sell it on eBay for. Just joking.
I mean, I could. I would never.
It's crazy because we have a fan club of this beer, but it's obviously it's a slow seller, peated Scotch lager. It sounds pretty very intense, scary. Yeah. But the nice thing about it, and then we try to say to people, don't look too much under the can of the date, because it doesn't matter on this one. It could be expired by 3 years and you're fine. So, yeah.
It's great, man. It's very unique. I haven't had a Scotch ale in a minute. I feel like that's one style that I don't particularly have very often, and I don't really see it very often. And then even to have a peated Scotch ale meets lager at 8% it's fascinating. This is definitely unique as hell.
This goes back to what I was saying earlier about about what the Quebec beer scene was like versus Ontario back in the mid 2010s. Because I feel like back in 2015 in Quebec, you could find Scotch ales everywhere. Everyone was brewing Scotch ales back in the day there. So yeah, this is a bit of a throwback to that in a certain way, although without the intense sweetness that a lot of those Scotch ales from 2015 or so would have had, because this, despite its strength, there's a bit of residual sweetness in it, but for the most part, it drinks quite dry.
Very dry.
It's dry. Like I say, I don't want to say I hate, I don't dislike like the sweet beers, but it's just not my thing. And so everything I design, it's not based on a lot of residual sweetness. I mean, it's based on balance. Obviously, you don't want it to be too dry, but yeah, that's just what I do. I'd love to. It's funny, like you're talking about Quebec and stuff, because when I met Dude Ciel for the first time, the original crew, JF, Stéphane, Patricia, in the beer festival in Chambly, Festival de Chambly, before they opened in 1998, and obviously, I was I was a total, beer nerd, beer geek, and home brewer. And back in the days, there's not that many breweries. So when there's one brewery opening, it's like, wow, there's a new brewery opening. It's like this didn't happen in like 3 years. And so they invited me to the opening of UCL, September 11th, 1998. And I went there, and on the original menu, I think they had 4 beers, and the Scotch Ale was on the menu, like Cornemuse, which is there. And it's kind of such a great beer. Yeah, I'd love to make that beer without the peat and just ferment it as a normal Scotch Ale. I might do it actually. Yeah.
I wonder how that would go. Yeah, I wonder how. Do you know what though? I feel like we can joke about like, oh, no one cares about Scotch ales and shit, but like, I almost feel like, and maybe I'm boosting here, but I almost feel like because Godspeed did it, it'd move, and people would be like, personally, if you did it, I'd be like,
yeah, I mean, like you can think of that from your like from your own purchasing decisions. Like you'd probably try it if it was Godspeed, right?
You absolutely, and like,
Exactly.
and that's and normally I would not be particularly interested or motivated in purchasing a Scotch ale, but if Bim did it, I'd be like, fuck it. He doesn't make bad decisions.
And I feel like that's a pretty representative
viewpoint
stance from from anyone who has tried and enjoyed Godspeed beers,
because it's going to be elevated, and if it's going to be a Scotch ale, it'll be potentially the best Scotch ale that you've had, or the best representation of that style from somebody who takes such immense pride in everything that they do. So I feel like that's a selling point that could move the needle. It still probably moves slower than other stuff, of course, but like people would be more inclined. Maybe they wouldn't get 4 of them, but they might get 1 or 2.
Yeah, I mean,
who knows?
I hope. I wish everybody that is listening is going to listen to this podcast. Think like you guys. It's yeah. I mean, there's one thing that doesn't move a lot at Godspeed, and it's kind of I'm kind of proud to say that every time I'm going to try to make a new IPA for some reason. I mean, I have Ochame, which is very distinct. I got it's a core beer, my green tea IPA. But apart from that, everything that we do, man, it's just like where, put another brewery name on it and it would just fly out of the shelf. And it's very interesting with time. Like people are not looking into buying IPAs from Godspeed. They couldn't care less, unless it's Ochame, I guess. I mean,
what about the ones you did with Sean Hill?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because I thought they would fly, like off the shelf, and and there's a story to it. I collaborate. I never collaborate as much with any brewery in the world than Sean. We did like 8 beers together, I think. Yeah.
Damn.
And probably half of them I never tried. Because like there's the Life Without Principle, like number 2, I think, and there's the other stuff. The other one that I tried constantly is like the Brother Soigné that he still
I had that recently
again and again.
Yes, that shit was great.
Yeah, but when I made those beers at Godspeed kind of like to tell a story that, okay, this is, all those AZs that you're drinking right now, this is where it started. This is like this is actual first AZ kind of beers, with some bitterness in it, like quite a good amount of bitterness, but really hazy too. And I don't know, for some reason it just didn't work that much. Yeah. I was shocked, but you know what? It's nice. It's always a learning curve, and you do some stuff. So okay, I might never do this again, and we move on, and that's what it is.
Do you have a smaller system that you could do those type of beers on, and then do the no? But
the thing that I'm looking at it right now is to get smaller fermenters, because I
Like a half batch or
design
something?
my own. Yeah, I've designed my own brew house, right? There's a lot of flexibility, so I can move, I can make it work, and transfer 10 hec in a small tank, and I can transfer the 40-45 hex in a full batch. I can do that, and
Gotcha.
ferment with a different yeast, or do something, or I can. But the minimum batch I can do with my brew house is about 15 hex. So I could do like small 15 hex batches.
Okay.
But under that, it's pretty tough, yeah, because of the size of the vessel and stuff. So yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting though. Yeah, I think I remember when that was dropping, and because my brother lives down the street, I was like, "Yo, go get that real quick," like, because that's gonna go. And I really thought that any Canadian brewery that's collaborating with Sean would that word would just blow up. I wonder if it was like when was the last time you dropped an IPA like that? It's been a few
I
years,
don't know.
right?
I cannot even remember.
Yeah.
It's
Like
It's funny because there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people telling me, like Stephen Beaumont, for example. He says, "Luke, if your brewery would be at this place in the United States, you would have like lineups. Like people like lining up for your beer would be crazy." But you're on the east end of Toronto, so what can you do?
It
you know
feels
what?
like a bit of an
I
undiscovered
don't mind.
gem. Yeah.
You know what? I'm happy about it. I don't think I would enjoy having like a success like lineups. First of all, I hate lineups. I feel bad like at our opening, and sometimes we have lineups at the brewery, like because the place is packed, and I just feel bad for people, standing up in line. I hate it. So I don't think I would enjoy. And for me, when I brew a beer, COVID was a bit of an eye opener because and thank God to COVID. God, 2020 was such a good years for us. And when we closed down, I'm scratching my hair out on my head. Say, what are we going to survive? Are we going to close? And then everything switched, and the next thing you find out is like, okay, I just brewed that beer, and like I'm sold out in 3 weeks. I didn't even have time to enjoy it. It's so boring. And it's great for business, obviously. But to be honest with you, if I had that level of success, I don't think I would like it. I'd probably I would not shoot myself in the head like some rock stars did. But I like the level that we have right now and the pace and everything. So if it doesn't move that much, that
That's
quick,
okay.
it's fine. I mean, and as long as it move in the next 3 months kind of thing, so that's kind of like where we try to aim.
Would you ever do it again? Like
Yeah.
any of those IPAs again?
I'd love to, yeah. And I love Sean to come and brew it with me too, because I just the thing is, we told the Hill Farmstead story, but it was not a official collaboration with Hill Farmstead. I told Sean about it, that I'm revisiting the recipes that we did back in the days,
Right.
because if I brew a beer like Brother Soigné, we agree that okay, you can brew it all the time, but whatever else, I mean, I want to be there. He wants to be there, so
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah,
So
I remember that being billed as kind of like not an official collaboration, but like more just kind of looking back to old recipes with Sean and whatnot, more as like telling a story as opposed to an official collaboration. That's an interesting distinction.
Yeah.
So
We Tiff and I went by there in August last year, and we ended up hanging out with Sean for a couple hours, and I never met him before, and he was cool as hell, such a cool guy. And he was telling us essentially the story of of how he was like, he made the IPA like Susan, essentially, like accidentally, and then when he went back to Copenhagen, everyone was drinking the fucking hazy IPAs, and he didn't really understand. And then he saw all these other breweries that were very successful in that not really give him the credit for it, because I didn't even think I knew the history of that. Obviously, like, I think it was 2004 because Heady Topper had its 20th anniversary this year. So then, like, John Kimmich made the they did like a 10% version of it, which is crazy, like a 20th anniversary version. But they did that back in 2004. But that's a Vermont IPA. Then Sean took it kind of to the next level because John was he was just explaining it all, and it was very interesting to hear it directly from him and like how it all sort of goes. So yeah, I feel like it would be my guess would be if it was co-branded with his logo on there and he came up and brewed it, I'd be interested to see how people responded then.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, I stop having too many hopes, you know, and it might go. Yeah, if you expect too much, you know, you just sometimes you end up being disappointed. So
That's fair.
yeah, it'd be fun. I mean, obviously, I'm totally into it. He came just before I moved to Japan. Actually, he came to Toronto. He spent a couple of 2-3 days. We kept it very low profile kind of thing, and we just hanged out and it was fun. It was great. You know, Sean's story is amazing. I know Sean before he opened Hill Farmstead.
Right.
You know, and I remember like this, you know, amazing innocent brewers. They say, I want to open a brewery, but you know, like and I have this idea, you know, to pay respect to my family on my family's ground, and you know, like he's in the middle of nowhere. Is it gonna work? And you know, he was all like, I mean, if there's one person that would never expect, you know, like you know, having a lineup in the middle of nowhere. Still, I mean, I've been there so many times, and you know, the last time I was there, I think I got lost in those gravel roads. You know,
every time.
It's easy to do. It's easy to do.
Right?
You got to make sure you connect to the Wi-Fi, and get Waze going before you leave, or you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
And you know, like this happened, like lineups every day, and the problem is like a lot of people after that start opening breweries thinking that the same thing's going to happen to them. But you know, they.
Not quite.
I mean, Sean Hill is I mean, is a one of a kind kind of a story. It's pretty deep, and it's you know, he deserved all the success that he had like so far. So yeah, very good time brewing together for sure.
It's very cool, man, that you could speak so sort of intimately, I guess, about all of these, you know, legends in the beer game, of which you are one. But like, it's cool to hear, you know, to see all like some of the best all work together and all know each other, and it's like it's a cool. I don't know, it's just really cool to hear. It's really it's brilliant, and it's cool to see even, you know, like you look at that context and you look at what you're doing right now, and it's like, fuck, man, this is sick. It's like really people who are at the top of their game doing exquisite, globally recognized A1, inarguable A1 shit, and it's brilliant, man. It's very cool. I love it.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, like you know, if I would be bitching all day, that's what I would attract. I would attract the people that bitch every day, right? And luckily, I don't, and I'm very grateful to have a circle of friends, like not just locally but internationally. You know, like people that very positive people, and we share a common passion, and beyond that too. I mean, there's beer, but there's so much other stuff that it's even deeper than beer. You know, that we share together. So it's great. It's great.
It's very cool,
very lucky person.
Well, luck is definitely a part of it, but you've also worked super hard and perfected your craft and created a business that's left a real legacy, and it's obviously only just starting, being that you're only just turning 7 this year, which is crazy.
Yeah,
and you're also just a very genuine, likable person, and like you're just saying, like, you know, the kind of people like the kind of people that you attract to your circle. I don't think that's luck. I think that like being the kind of person you are will attract that kind of people. That's no accident.
Facts.
I mean, well, thank you for saying this. I don't know. I'm just you know, doing the best that I can to every day wake up and try to be a better person, just for my personal own, right? And I always try to look myself in the mirror, and I'm not perfect, obviously, so I do some mistakes and stuff, but I want to be the one realizing my mistakes before somebody tells me, so I always been like that, and so yeah.
Totally,
I'm
man.
trying to be as kind as possible until somebody really fucks
Pisses
up
you
with
off.
me and use Svetli Lazak on their
Oh,
can.
then they
Yeah,
get
and
that
then-
cease and
then-
desist.
And really pisses me off.
That's when Bim's gonna come after you. Like he's got Svetli Lazak in his pocket for
He's
that.
got them lawyers. Let's go. You got no
I
chance.
fucking love that. I
It's-
fucking love that.
Honestly, it's the best. So to bring it on home, so you got 7 years this year. Is there anything that you
Yeah.
can talk about that you got planned for the anniversary at all?
Yeah. Well, I think there's going to be 2 anniversaries in the month. We're gonna relaunch the Sklepník barrels, like hopefully, and there's one thing that I've been wanting to do since day one is the blessing of the barrels, and we're luckily enough we have a Czech priest in Toronto that is a huge fan of Godspeed. They're doing events at the church. We're selling them kegs all the time, and the kegs of Godspeed is flowing in the Czech church in Toronto. So he's been wanting. So we've been wanting him to do the blessing of the barrels. So we're probably gonna, I think, as simple as that. Probably maybe with a few other things, but for our 7th, I think it's. I think it's summarize what Godspeed is all about, like right now, and the Sklepník and the barrel and stuff. So I would probably, move around that, and then there's going to be something else at the end of July, which is going to be pretty spectacular, never seen in the world. So keep your eyes open.
Oh, I'm ready.
What a
Let's
tease!
go.
What a tease!
I think you might be guessing a little bit what it is, but we'll send some teasers and stuff, and you'll see. Yeah,
I love it.
there's gonna be a bit of a Japanese accent to it. That's what I can say.
Okay.
All right,
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
That's how we all started, right? We started as a kind of a Japanese izakaya, like brew pub, and now being a German or European beer hall. But I never want to forget about how we started, and just to to continue like the Japanese kind of legacy in Godspeed. So
That's amazing,
Yeah.
dude. I love it. This is perfect.
Yeah.
Great way to bring it home. So, dude, thank you so much for your time. We're coming up on 4 hours, so this is pretty.
that's amazing.
It doesn't happen that often. This coming up to 4 hours. I think we said this recently. Yeah, it's usually 2 to 3. So it's come up on
There's
4.
only been a handful that have made it this long.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
no, it's not sorry.
Oh my
It's-
God,
People
don't
that are
be.
listening.
We're thanking you.
You're blessing us with your
People's-
time.
That's good. That was the easiest 4 hours in a long time. So
Seriously, and even more so that you're in Japan and you did this at 9 o'clock in the morning, drinking as much beer as we did at fucking midnight. So that is some gangster shit.
That was
Appreciate you, man.
that was amazing.
This was
Guys,
phenomenal.
Anytime.
Yes, honestly,
Let's do this. Let's
can we do it every year?
do this again. Not in 6 years.
Yeah. We would like to do it every year. That would be the optimal situation.
would
6
love
years
that.
is absurd, and particularly for a brewery that means so much to us, man. Like honestly, I can't express. You just
Well, thank you guys.
That's a sin. We fucked up. We fucked
yeah,
up.
that's on us. That's not on you. That's on us. So we'll make sure now
Guys-
that there's a way to do it internationally, even if you're here or not.
And
You
and,
know,
and gotta say again, brewery of the year, couldn't couldn't be more deserved. And going through all of these fantastic beers tonight, and and chatting with you has been a genuine treat.
Truly.
Guys, I mean, honestly, thank you so much. And I cannot appreciate more the respect you have and the support. I mean, it means everything to me, honestly. And I told you, I sent you an email recently, right? And
You did.
I'm emotional, like writing these words, and I truly mean it, man. You guys means a lot, and thank you so
brother.
much.
Thank you for everything you do, man. It's even cooler that you're a champion, and it makes us want to support you even more, because there's not just great beer, it's great people behind the brand. It's a great experience in the brewery. It's a great team that you mentioned. Like Max is a champion, and everyone we've worked, we've met there is lovely.
And Pat, we didn't talk much about that. But I got Pat like in the front of the house, and Jeff now, my brewer. Like Jeff is fucking spot on.
Killing it.
Like I'm very lucky, and we're a bunch of friends too, and it makes things, for me, when I opened Godspeed, then I wanted to open Godspeed and having my staff to feel like I felt for 12 years at UCL, like every single day going to work and be happy. And, that's kind of environment I want to create. And, I mean, there's a few days sometimes, we have to talk about some stuff, but I mean, 99% of the time it's just like, it's pretty strong, and everybody's at his place. I think Godspeed has never been, then the team now and everything, even me not being there, I was kind of like, everybody was, when I announced it, it was a little bit of a fear and stuff. And I say, guys, I promise we'll make this even better. And, so, and it's pretty good. And it's pretty cool to see. So, credit to my team, and a lot. Yeah. Because they're amazing.
Yeah. I know when I saw you last, you were a little apprehensive maybe about I just want to make sure that they maintain the beer, and obviously they've done a phenomenal job of doing that, because if this is all the beer that your team is making, it's perfection. You wouldn't even know.
And it was a good therapy for me. It was a good thing to do, and
detach
I need to
a bit.
learn how to delegate. I need to learn how to need to learn how to trust, because I have a great staff, and I think one of the reasons Godspeed's doing even better now is I let them breathe, I let them do their stuff, and there's not only one brain thinking anymore. No, there's like 4 or 5 brains thinking, and it's just like, obviously, and we're pretty much on the same page all the time, so it makes things extra special, and and the business is kind of moving forward, and it's exciting. So, yeah.
Very cool, man.
Yep.
It's a beautiful thing. Congrats on all the success, man. It's exciting, that you're over there and you got stuff happening whilst got stuff happening here, and it sounds like just a very bright future for the brand that's already doing phenomenal.
I mean, I hope so, but like I say all the time, I don't take anything for granted, every morning. So I know, it's made with struggle and love. You cannot sit on your ass and just pretend that everything's going to come to you. It's like, I never thought like this. I never will. And so, tomorrow's another day, and there's, another opportunity maybe that I'm working on, and just trying to pushing the limits. So, yeah.
Love it.
Let's see where that brings Godspeed. So.
Excited to follow the journey, and now every year we will continue to do this and catch up, and whether you're in Toronto, Japan, we're going to keep doing it. So, brother, we'll wrap up here. Stick around after we wrap up, and we'll finish up off air. But once again, Luke, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you immensely, brother. Where can everyone find Godspeed in real life and online?
Where?
Yes. So, do you know the social media? Do you know what that is off the top of your head?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna double check
Twitter. I don't do Twitter anymore. But Instagram is at Godspeed Beer.
Yes.
Facebook Godspeed Brewery. GodspeedBrewery.com is our website, and then you can you can click on the store there, so you can order directly from our website store if you want to, online beers. And that's about it. We don't go really crazy on social media, as you can see. Max doing like maybe a post a week or something like that. When we have something to say, we post.
Well, you know what? As
so
far as
that's
I'm
it.
concerned, any brewery that still has an active Twitter account is doing a little bit extra.
Yeah, most don't.
Does he do it? Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even do
Yeah.
Twitter anymore. So
I
don't
think he
know.
does.
So
I
that's
think he
good.
does, anyways. Or maybe I'm more just thinking
I'm
of
pretty
Max's
sure.
own account. But
Yeah, Max is very
no,
he's very prolific himself, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Just checking.
yeah,
it's
okay. So it looks like the
Godspeed.
last Twitter post was in December. So maybe not quite as regular.
Okay.
But Max himself is
Right,
pretty
right.
active.
Yeah, and he always talks
Yeah.
about Godspeed stuff. He's sharing it and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
people can keep an eye on there. And I would aggressively encourage anyone, if you're visiting Toronto, if you're in Toronto, go down to Coxwell, go to Godspeed, and have all the LUKR beers. Just
Yes.
see what a glory that is, and then order some of the phenomenal food, like all the different fun game sausages and the is it duck fat fries? Or is it the beef tallow fries? Duck fat fries,
the
yeah.
duck fat.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Bro.
that's amazing.
Duck fat
Yeah,
fries,
versus
a LUKR beer, and a fucking sausage that's like kangaroo or some shit. Get out of here.
Come on. Come on.
It's disgusting.
sounds great.
Dude, it does sound great, and it is great.
Doesn't
It's
it?
the best. It's the best of the best. Just a quick anecdote. We had two friends in from San Francisco. One of the husband is a big beer fan, and that day when we saw you, Luke, we had five breweries planned. How many breweries did we go to? We went to one brewery because we went to Godspeed and we didn't fucking leave. Like that was it in the end. And they were so obsessed, like, because you did the first version of Péché Mortel outside of Quebec, and they lost their mind. They went to Montreal. I told them to go to Judiciel to try it. They went to Judiciel. They didn't try it. They came to Godspeed. They tried it. They lost their shit, and I went and shipped them some Péché the other day, and he got it, so he's all excited. But that made their trip. Like he kept talking about it for the whole time that they were in Toronto for a month, and that's how serious it is. We had 5 breweries planned and we went to one. So I'm telling you, go to Godspeed, plan a trip. You probably end up just staying there. So that's all I'm saying. Brother,
Thank you.
you are a champion. Thank you so much for your time. Once again, stick around and we'll finish up off air. Guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit that notification bell, Nathaniel.
Ding.
So you know when the new drops. Follow us everywhere at BAOS Podcast, of course, at NathanDoesBeer. Check out the long-form audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere, so you can hear legendary individuals like Uncle Luke talk about craft beer every week, guys. Thank you again, Luke, and we'll see you all in the next episode, yo. Cheers.
Cheers.